Sam Seder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is January. It is Friday. January 6, 2023. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. It's Casual Friday, folks. I was so proud of saying 2023 every day this week that I forgot to say the actual day. On the program today, Digby will be joining us to look back on the week that was and look forward to what 2023 will bring. Then we will be talking to Andy Kindler to see if he's going to make it through 2023.
It's going to be Andy's year.
This is the Kindler's year. Also on the program today, 12 makes a dozen on day 4 of the Cuck Watch, as Kevin McCarthy will try again to become Speaker. Unemployment, meanwhile, hits a 50-year low with the addition of 225,000 jobs. South Carolina Supreme Court tosses the 6-week abortion ban in that state, returns it to 22 weeks. Joe Biden signs a bill to cap the predatory phone charges that have been punishing prisoners. Meanwhile, AIPAC head Matt Schlapp accused of groping Herschel Walker's staffer's penis. DOJ clears U.S. Postal Service to deliver abortion drugs to red states. Meanwhile, Walgreens executives admit they overblew the retail theft fears. Harvard denies a Jewish American 29-year head of the Human Rights Watch a fellowship at the Kennedy School. And why? Because that organization critiqued Israel. Utah lawmakers told by researchers that the Great Salt Lake will vanish in 5 years. They literally have months to prevent it. And of course, today marks the 2nd anniversary of a right-wing violent coup attempt on this country. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Casual Friday. As you can see, I am very casual. I'm almost like, I'm now 50-50 on my even wearing a collar.
It's going to be like a robe by 2024.
That's it. I'm just going to come into the bathroom. That's it. I really feel like I should transition into PJs in between, but
for the fun half.
For the fun. Emma is still apparently on vacation.
She did drop a broadcast this morning, though, I think, on ESPN.
Oh, well, great for her. She's doing some work. That's
solo show.
She will be back in a couple of days. I don't know what to tell you, folks. We're going to talk more with Digby about what's going on with the speakership and really what it portends. I mean, the biggest issue, of course, is going to be the debt ceiling, which is going to be coming up. We don't know exactly when, but sometime in this quarter, supposedly, we will talk to her about that. I wanted to just go in. I don't know if we'll even run I don't know if we'll run a clip here. I wanted to save that one for Digby as well. Let's do this. It's just number one. We'll play number one, but I want to talk about a couple other things before we get to Digby. But here's clip number one. This is Kevin McCarthy. At one point, I don't know if it was around like vote number 2 or vote number 3 or vote number 4 or vote number 5, vote number 6, 7 or 8 or 9.
I mean, they've all been so special and unique.
Or 10 or 11. McCarthy realized like, oh, I'm going to have to really play this like it's not bothering me.
Not Operation Not Mad.
Yeah, Operation Not Mad. And
especially when reporters are asking you the same question over and over and over again, being like, hey, are you sad that this is the first time since the Civil War that this has happened?
And he's going to try and make some lemonade out of these lemons. Let's be clear. Even if he wins the seat at this point, it's over. He's dead man walking. I mean, he's essentially has no job anymore. It's literally like, it would be as if I still had this job, but all I was allowed to do was to deal with the tech problems.
Like so your own personal hell.
Right. Exactly.
We need you to log in, Sam.
Exactly. And that's it.
We got the show.
But here is Kevin McCarthy trying to put a smiley face on this.
We'll have to see, we have a we're going to make progress. We're going to shop round. Why, what?
How are you going to shop us today? You're going to get there today?
I don't know if we get there today. We'll give us some progress.
What's good about this deal? Can you tell me what's great about it?
When we get it done.
Yeah, we're making some progress. We're making progress. Now, it's hard to know how he measures progress because he hasn't gotten any more votes.
We've progressed from the first vote to the 10th.
That's right. Well, actually, we're on number 12 now.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Don't shortchange him. This is. I'll tell you something honestly. Like the mainstream reporting on this. Again, every morning I listen to the AP News. It is just sheer mockery for the Republicans. It's just sheer mockery. There's no issues associated with it. It's just these guys are, the clown car, and that is it. So it's fascinating, and supposedly they're going to go into session today, and they're going to try and wrap this thing up. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. Wanted to touch on, I mentioned this yesterday. It is a big deal. Read in a little bit more about what the FTC is going to attempt to do when it comes to on non-compete agreements in labor contracts. Again, we mentioned this yesterday. A proposal by the Federal Trade Commission would block companies from forcing employees to sign non-compete. Now, when most of us think of non-compete, I think we think of like, top executives but this is going on at like fast food restaurants.
Oh my God.
It is going on at, at businesses and jobs you would not think it would do, but it is, understand what it does. It drives down wages. The FTC calculates that they're talking about $300 billion worth of wages lost because of these things. And it will impact 20 to 45% of private sector U.S. workers. And when you basically say to someone who is working at your fast food restaurant or as your computer coder or whatever it is, you can't work for anybody else with these same skills that you're providing for us for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months or within a 50-mile radius or something like that, what you're doing is you're suppressing their wages. Because their ability to go somewhere else and get a better pay is completely destroyed.
I mean, it's almost just explicit labor control.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even need to use the word explicit. It's just simple. It is labor control, and this it is a big deal. Now it's got to go through a process, it's not 100% guaranteed. But more than likely, we're going to see this. I don't know exactly what the timing is going to be. And this is going to be a big deal. Yesterday we had a conversation about how austerity has been essentially developed. And we see austerity that comes in three different forms: fiscal, monetary, and in terms of inhibiting workers' ability to increase their wages. And this is a big part of disempowering workers. It is just one of the tools that are used, and to get rid of this is a big deal, because we can see the knock-on effects of these things in our economy today. When you have empowered workers, not only are they raising wages, but they also they start to understand their power more in the context of labor actions. We're in an era of unprecedented labor actions. They not only are talking about things like wages, but also things like working conditions. So this is a big deal, and don't sleep on that. Also, we've had a couple of other things. Just the Department of Justice says the Postal Service can deliver abortion drugs to red states.
Hell yeah.
And so this is going to seriously inhibit the ability of these red states to fully outlaw abortion. Theoretically, they could pass laws, and they have, that would punish women who take an abortion pill and have an abortion. But it would make its enforcement of that is much harder. So there's a couple of good things that are happening. Also, some not so great ones. We have new immigration rules from the Biden administration. I mentioned this briefly yesterday. Now have a better a sense of what's happening. An increase in parole authority for migrants who come from Cuba, Nicaragua, Haiti, and Venezuela to come to the United States each month. Fairly easy to understand what's going on with the Cuba and Venezuelan thing. Nicaragua and Haiti, obviously, a lot of problems there, a lot of safety issues. But it inhibits the rights of people seeking asylum in this country. I don't even understand how that is legal, and I suspect that's going to be challenged in a court of law. But we will follow up on that over the next couple of days. We're going to get to Digby in just a moment. Got a couple of words from our sponsors today. I mentioned this yesterday. I found a couple of places where, I changed my Twitter password because there was a leak of all the emails associated with the accounts from Twitter that has been made aware. But also, I don't know. Every day, Aura sends me, if I go in and check, that I have a different password that is compromised. Now, I have about 100 different email addresses. And so it is because I'm super, super uptight about this stuff. But one of the things that really can save your identity, for that matter, or a lot of hassle, is a product like Aura, who is sponsoring the program today. It is an easy-to-use app that includes everything you need to stay safe online. Aura protects you from scammers and hackers by scanning the so-called dark web. That's, like I say, where criminals will sell stolen information or hacked information, looking for your emails, looking for your passwords, and your social security numbers. It alerts you fast if it finds anything. If Aura finds any of your private information on the dark web, it will let you know. They help you fight back against those annoying websites that make your personal information public by automatically requesting removal of your info. This helps reduce robocalls. Or gives you near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries, like if somebody was opening up a loan or a credit card in your name, or if, let's say, like me, you opened up a savings account for your daughter. I would also not make the mistake of giving them a card so they can take the money out. But nevertheless, I got notified by Aura that somebody was opening an account. And it was me in this instance, but that made me feel a lot more confident about what was going on with my identity and my social security number, et cetera, et cetera. They have a VPN that allows you to stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history and your personal information safe and encrypted. They protect your devices from viruses and malware, keep the bad guys out, and Aura even helps you manage what your kids can do on their devices. You can restrict specific apps. You can set screen time limits. You can set focus time. You can make sure they're not, watching YouTube instead of doing their reading or whatever it is. And they got a password manager that lets you store and access your online passwords securely and conveniently. And they have one app that does all these things. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online. If you sign up now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link. You're going to be shocked at how much your private information Aura finds exposed over those 2 weeks. Go to aura.com/majority to start your free trial. That link will be in the podcast and the YouTube descriptions, as well as on the site. Another one of our sponsors today, Hold On Bags. We've talked about them before. You know the drill. It's new year, new goals, new habits. And here's the secret. You don't have to make a big life change to make a significant impact, especially when it comes for caring for the earth and the seas, for that matter. Well, I guess that's all part of the earth. There's a better way to take care of your daily chores, and it can start with a better bag. There is something like all of what was the figure? Almost 50% of the plastic that exists in the world today has only been manufactured in the past 18 years.
Oh, yeah.
We got a problem. Whether it's what it's doing to sea life or to our landfills. Hold On trash and kitchen bags are heavy duty, plant-based, they're non-toxic, 100% home compostable, which means that they break down in weeks, not decades. They don't fill up our landfills. They don't pollute our oceans. Their zip seal kitchen bags come in sandwich or gallon size bags, fit all your needs from holding carrots to crayons, or I don't know, I use them, I open up a box of crackers. I put it in there because I don't want to get, bugs or whatever. I don't want to talk about that. Hold On wants to be part of the growing movement away from single-use plastic, which, if you ask most experts, is the single worst kind of plastic. At every stage, production, disposal, decomposition, plastic bags are doing harm to the planet, to our water, to even our bodies. These are made from non-toxic ingredients and plant-based renewables. Hold On trash and kitchen bags meet the highest standards for compostability, and they break down, like I say, in weeks, not in centuries. To shop plant-based bags and replace single-use plastics all over your home, visit holdonbags.com/majority or enter majority at checkout. You will save 20% off your order. Sustainability has never been more simple. That's Hold On Bags, HOLDON bags.com/majority, or just enter majority to receive 20% off your order. Small things can lead to lasting change if we stop and say, hold on. Lastly, our favorite sponsor. I mean, I like all the sponsors, but who am I going to lie? I'm not going to lie. This is our favorite. There is no product I use more than the products that I get from sunsetlakecbd.com. Use the coupon code Left is Best, you get 20% off. I use the tinctures to sleep. I use the gummy bears. The full spectrum gummy bears, the one with the THC, a tiny bit, tiny bit,
taste.
tiny bit. I'm so surprised always. Like it's a tiny bit, but it really is. It mix it with CBD. It's really good.
I think that it really activates the CBD.
Maybe that is. I maybe, but I like it. I also will have the smokables. You know, after like a big meal. You know, I'm a former smoker myself, and it is. But I also use the gummies. They have the sour gummies. They have all sorts of gummies. They have the fudge. I give them as gifts. I use the arnica and CBD salve for my eczema. And one of the things, for the first time in my life, I have used, not this past week so much, but like for a while, it was like really cold. And my skin was getting dry. And I never like to put anything on my skin. I just don't like to do it. But my calves, for some reason, were getting really itchy. And so I used some of this, which is it's the first body lotion I have ever, they call it recovery body lotion with 500 milligrams of CBD in it. It's moisturizer. First I have ever used on my body in maybe in my life. And it is, of course, unscented because that would never work if it had any scent whatsoever for me. But it is actually, it's really, really great. My sister uses it, and I've always been very skeptical about any lotions, but it's really fantastic. And I know it's a weird thing to say, your calves are itchy, but beautiful thing about Sunset Lake CBD too, it is a majority employee owned business, pay a minimum wage of $20 an hour. They have great business practices. They have great farming practices. They use integrated pest management. They don't use pesticides. They use regenerative farming practices. Just an all-around great company. SunsetLakeCBD.com. Use the coupon code Left is Best. Fans of the show, they came up with that 20% off. Check it out. All right, quick break. Then we're going to be talking to Digby. We are back. Sam Seder. It is the Majority Report, ladies and gentlemen. Always a pleasure to welcome back to the program the person who inspired this little ditty. Like, I don't know, it's New Year's, but this thing must be like 10 years old.
At least.
Are you ready for some DB? Yeah.
It sounds like it was actually made in the 70s.
Well, that's fitting for me.
We were both minted in the 70s, as it were.
I was actually minted earlier than that, but I certainly
Well,
remember
I was
the
minted
70s.
earlier than that too, but I really came into my own in the 70s. Let's put it
me
that way.
too.
Heather Parton, the folks can read you obviously at Salon and at Hullabaloo, which I consider like one of the Uber blogs that from the very, very early days. we have never seen anything like this because despite the rumors, we are not 100 years old. And so we have not seen what we're witnessing this week. And not just in like as of now, I think like literally they're starting to come to order, right? And they're starting to start the 12th vote.
Mike Garcia of California has nominated McCarthy, and Gates is currently, I think, in the process of nominating whoever.
Okay.
I will check who it is, but might be Donald Trump again.
So McCarthy has not dropped out yet. Let's put it that way. We've not only seen not 12 votes for the Speaker of the House, we've never seen such ineptness. I mean, have we? It is really sort of astonishing. Like, it's not like McCarthy just found out that there was going to be a problem or that he was running for Speaker of the House. He's had a couple of months to work on this.
Well, exactly. I mean, he might have had an excuse before the election, thinking, hyping himself up into believing there was a big red wave, which of course didn't. I mean, if he thought he had a huge majority, then these people wouldn't matter. But he has had 2 months to put this together and had to know that this was, potentially going to be a problem. I don't know what, I guess he's just winging it and hoping that somehow or another everything turns out okay, because there really didn't seem to be a plan. And it's kind of interesting because he's been here before. You and I remember back in 2015 when, he went through almost exactly the same thing. He was the heir apparent to John Boehner. And in that case, the newly emboldened House Freedom Caucus, which is basically the same group now, of right-wing extremists, had Tea Party people back in those days. We thought of them. Now they're MAGA, but it's all the same thing. They, he was the heir apparent to John Boehner, and they had out pretty much, taken John Boehner out. It was the House Freedom Caucus that did that. And with this vacate the chair thing. And Boehner just finally went, okay, I'm done. And what he managed to do was I think he got a budget that would go through to the next election as his parting gift to the country. Boehner actually did a fairly generous thing by doing that, and then he quit. And Kevin was supposed to be the heir apparent. He was the anointed new leader, and the House Freedom Caucus was having none of it. They did not want him at all. He went out and made some stupid comments about how they had engineered the Benghazi hearings in order to damage Hillary Clinton. And that really gave everybody a peg to hang on to say, well, Kevin can't do this. He made a big mistake and he publicly did it. And it is true. It was a ridiculous thing to say.
Well, let me just, if he said that today,
oh yeah.
If he had said that today, not only would they have shrugged it off, it would probably get him a couple of votes.
Exactly. They would.
Let's just be clear on that. This is like back then they were still in that mode where they pretended, where they still had honestly, like, this is a big difference between that. Like the difference between 2016 pre-2016 Republicans and post-2016 Republicans is simply that they had to pretend at that time, as opposed to now where there's no pretending.
That's absolutely right. They still were trying to, they still had a tiny bit of shame left, which would, required them to actually, they cared about a little bit about their reputation for being, patriots and, governing, responsible people. But in any case, Kevin went through this and he abruptly withdrew from the race. And it was a big scramble because they didn't have anybody in line. They had to go and really twist, but they had Paul Ryan, the dreamboat of the universe out there, waiting in the wings, but he didn't really want the job. But he was someone they knew they could get the whole caucus to coalesce around. In those days, again, that's another thing, that the Freedom Caucus, as crazy as they were then, when Paul Ryan stepped into the thing, they were reluctant to oppose him. Now, it's not that they didn't love him for his fiscal responsibility, but he was an establishment guy, and they had every reason to not be for him. But in those days, they were still a little bit reluctant to go against somebody who was as popular in the party as Paul Ryan was.
Yes.
I don't think today they'd care, but in those days, they still, again, just a little bit of still sort of operating within normal rules. But so Kevin abruptly withdrew, and I would have thought that, and I'm sure that's what's in his head. He's going, I can't do this twice. But you would think that this would have occurred to him, that the same thing was going to happen, and that he was going to be faced with this. And here he is once again, facing down the House Freedom Caucus, the freak show, the right-wing freak show that is, he should be embarrassed to have to deal with people like this, but he isn't. He's just eagerly giving away the store. He will give them anything they want, apparently, at this point. I mean, from what we heard last night, and again this morning, they have a deal on the table. Whether or not they're going to take it, I don't know. That is a complete giveaway to everything. I mean,
I want to hold off on that for a minute, because I've read sort of like, I think there's other. I'm not as convinced that what we're hearing is on the table is actually on the table. But with that said, I just want to go back here, because I think it's important to draw these distinctions, because the reason, first off, I remember at that time, people were talking about McCarthy being a dim bulb. That was one of the other things that like, he was the whip, but he was able to raise money. But for the most part, people referred to him as an idiot. And I think that really has borne out, that the guy has no ability. It's one thing to lead while you're in the minority, but it's different to actually lead when you can actually do something, even if you're the Republican leader and your agenda is really to do nothing anyways.
Right.
But there's just more spoils associated with being in the majority. The other interesting thing I think to glean from this is that the Ryan represented the last vestige of the sort of like major fig leaf that had been draped over the Republican Party for really since Gingrich, which was this sort of, the press was like taking seriously, Paul Ryan was considered a policy guru.
I know.
And the guy, like, honestly, this is like collar to this program, libertarian collar to this program grade intellect. And that is not a compliment. Right. I mean, and he would go out there and he'd be talking about the Laffer curve and this stuff as if it really was legit. And it already had been, well debunked by Sam Brownback. And it was just, even George Bush called it voodoo economics back in 1991 or 1980. 84 or whatever it was, I can't remember. I mean, so he represented, that era was the era where the Republican Party had at least a faction, a cohort, a capacity, however you want to describe it, to make the conventional press, the Beltway press, think that they were serious about governance.
Right.
And they hadn't been for 30 or 40 years.
Of course.
I mean, they had just no ideas. Yeah. And that is naked now. It is nakedly, because not only was Ryan popular, very popular amongst Republicans, and Kevin McCarthy is not. Kevin McCarthy his net favorability rating was -3 in December of this past year. I mean, so the price to be paid by those 20 is much less than it would have been at any other time, it seems to me, because they know they're not going to get anything passed anyways. They're nihilists, and they're not going up against somebody who's popular, and they don't need the mainstream media anymore to raise money, to get their message out. There's a whole nother ecosystem that has developed over really the past 10, 15 years. But it has reached that critical mass where they can exist as almost a third party.
Oh, I think they are operating that way, and I think in their own minds they actually see it that way. I mean, I think that they have determined that. I mean, they are running, and this is true of Donald Trump as well. I mean, he didn't invent any of this stuff, but he rode that tiger of the far right extremists that developed over the last 10, 15 years, and they run against the establishment Republicans as much as they do Democrats, and in fact, in some cases. They actually hate them more. They hate the Republican establishment more. And nobody seems to represent the Republican establishment more than Kevin McCarthy does. And these people are being rewarded. And it's very interesting to me watching this develop this week, because what you said, this ecosystem that developed around them, it had a lot to do with right-wing media and, starting in the old days with talk radio and then Fox News and then all these alternate, TV networks. And then, of course, all the online stuff. Which is, kind of voluminous, the whole right-wing media ecosystem. And it's been interesting to me to watch this week because the right-wing media ecosystem is confused. They don't really know what to do. And certainly at Fox, I mean, you had Tucker Carlson on the one hand being with the insurrectionist caucus, which is what I'm calling this group of 20. And you had Sean Hannity calling them a clown show. And it seemed as though nobody really knew what the right party line was going to be. And even Tucker Carlson last night kind of hedged a little bit and went, well, maybe McCarthy's learned his lesson. He's been beaten down so much that he'll do the right thing because he's learned who's in the driver's seat. Actually, Tucker Carlson may be right about that. Not that Kevin McCarthy was ever in the driver's seat, but I think the lesson here is pretty clear about who's running the show. And so it's very interesting to me to watch that happen. And I haven't been following it as closely online, although over on Truth Social, Donald Trump's platform, that's also kind of confused because you have Donald Trump sort of halfway saying that he, get behind McCarthy, take the win, trying to be a cheerleader and compare McCarthy to himself, on it's very weird. But what this also says to me, I didn't get the sense from any of these people who went on all these shows over the course of this week, Matt Gaetz and Boebert and the rest of them, I don't think they care about that either. And here's the reason. Their voters, these are all in deep red districts. Yep. They are as red can be. You have Donald Trump who's been slashing and burning against any right-wing media that said anything against him. So he's been going after Fox News. And he's been telling his people that, these media outlets are untrustworthy. They're fake news half the time as well. Why pay attention to them? So those voters in those deep red districts, they don't trust even the right-wing media anymore. I think that Matt Gaetz and the rest of them have a national fundraising apparatus. They have an entire, this sort of revolutionary right wing, I think sort of exists unto itself. And I'm not even sure they're run by the media anymore. I mean, they are purely sort of beholden to no one. And they certainly seem to sense that because they're not responding to anything external. I mean, the Club for Growth came in and, argued on their behalf and got a deal with Kevin McCarthy early in the week that he wouldn't go against anybody in primaries, that he wouldn't fund he wouldn't fund anti-primary campaigns against people that they considered to be, their brethren. And they didn't care. I mean, that's great. Thanks. And they voted against McCarthy anyway.
Just want to note that there are, nothing will come of it, but there's apparently been filed an FEC complaint because of the use of government functions to negotiate what are supposedly private funding mechanisms, right? I mean,
exactly.
But that's just a little side note that I'm sure.
Well, they should. I mean, we're all going, is this legal? I mean, oh my God.
That seems a little bit dicey.
Okay.
I'm going to use my position as a congressman and leader of the as a congressman to essentially my actions will implicate how you spend your money seems a little bit inappropriate, but it is it is fascinating how this is, sort of deadlocked. And I think you're right. I don't think that they care. And I think that they have separate power bases now. What's also fascinating is that there really is no ideological fight here, as far as I can tell. I mean,
none.
I think they want, choice committee seats. They want, but here is like, there was a piece today in Politico, outlining two sort of dynamics that are going on. One is that they're starting to get to the point where there are like material implications to not resolving this for Republican lawmakers. So in other words, Texas Republican Roger Williams, his wife suffered some type of medical emergency. She went, this week she went treatment, and he wants to be with her, but he can't. He has to stay in Washington. Ken Buck was sick, and they were trying to convince him that it's okay to duck out to get rest. Wesley Hunt, Republican from Texas, his wife gave birth this week. He wants to see his kid. Kevin Hearn's mother died this week, and he wants to attend her funeral. Like, things are starting to, come up. These are people, and they need to be around, because what happens is if they leave, and we worked this out the other day, I think we got to the number 9, essentially. If 9 more people vote present or leave because they've got to get home, Hakeem Jeffries becomes speaker because he will have the majority of the people who are voting. It's also not inconceivable that, like, if 2 or 3 people have to leave, 4 people, Republicans, some of the 20 might just say, like, I can end this, by just voting present. Yeah. How are people going to accuse me of voting present? I didn't vote for Hakeem Jeffries, and they could push it that way, because I don't think they really that much care about like what the outcomes of this are going to be at the end of the day, because the committees that they're talking about are just to raise their own profile. Yeah. And they have the mechanisms to do that anyways.
Well, that is really an important thing. I wrote about this for Salon this morning. It doesn't really matter. Whatever deal that Kevin McCarthy gives them, it's a formality. Whatever it is, he can give them, I mean, the idea that somehow, they're going to get some committee assignments and they'll get a subcommittee of their own, and they'll get a promise to do an investigation, and they'll get a promise to not raise the debt ceiling and all this stuff, and everybody's going, oh my God, this is terrible. Look what he's giving away. And it is pathetic. I mean, it's pathetic that Kevin McCarthy, just in terms of his own authority, would be so willing to just, here, okay, if that's what you want. But in reality, he and everybody else in the Republican Party knows that it makes no difference. These people hold the cards regardless of whether or not they're in a committee hearing or whether or not they get, the one thing that they wanted was the ability to vacate the chair, meaning they could really hold the Kevin McCarthy's feet to the fire. And they're going to get that. I mean, I don't think there's any, they'll either get it with 5 votes or they'll get it with 1 vote, but whatever, they're going to get it. What they have and what they're demonstrating every minute of every day that this goes on is that they have the power to bring everything to a halt. They can stop whatever's going on. They have the ability, they have total veto power over the Republican agenda if they want it. Now, does this matter? I mean, the investigations were going to happen anyway. They're all dying to do it. And not just the MAGA people. Well, they're all MAGA people, essentially. But, everybody was happy with that. Maybe there are a few, new congressmen from New York or California or something who are going, oh, no, we don't really want to do it. But for the vast majority of the Republican caucus, they are dying to get into Hunter Biden and Dr. Fauci and God knows what else, because they don't have anything else. They're not going to pass any legislation. So this is their big show that they're going to put on. But of course, this becomes really serious when it comes to the debt ceiling and some other funding bills that are still sort of out there. And the debt ceiling is going to come up in a few months. And these people are making it very clear in the negotiations with Kevin McCarthy, and just because we already know it anyway, they are going to do whatever they can to stop, to hold the debt ceiling hostage. For what? We don't even know, and it doesn't matter, because the whole point of them doing that is that they want to exercise their power. They want to, have a show of strength. And there's no, as we can see now, everybody can see this coming. There's no obvious way out, because these people don't really want anything except to do this thing. That is what they want. That is what they want. So this is the one danger that I can see. We can all live through these investigations. There'll be hell, and it'll be, for people like you and me, we'll be, covering it, and it'll be interesting, right? Because this is what we do. But it's not going to bring the country down. Right. It'll be embarrassing and humiliating and degrading to the whole political process, but that's just the Republicans. But this debt ceiling thing is going to be a big problem, because I don't see how you appease these people. I don't know what is it, just destroy, get rid of Social Security. I mean, they don't seem to have a real agenda other than to do it. So this would happen regardless of whether Kevin McCarthy made a deal with them or not. They were going to do that.
Yes. But there is an argument out there that, and Benji Sarlin wrote it, I guess, in Semaphore, that this is actually going to make it harder for the Republicans to negotiate, to basically not raise the debt ceiling. And I think the argument goes like this, and I'm expanding on it a little bit, because according to that reporting in Politico, some of McCarthy's people are mad that they're empowering these hardliners, right? I mean, because people have to not think of this as, people have to understand that there is no ideological differences, but this is like any institution, and people don't like these people taking my power away. That's basically what it's down to. It's like, I want these committeeships because this is how I fundraise. I get on a committee, the energy committee, and I get my money from the energy companies. I get on the government oversight committee, and I get all those people who are interested in the Hunter Biden dick pics, and I can, raise money from these rubes. So some of McCarthy's people are mad, according to the reporting, that he's empowering hardliners with rule changes to the point they will be difficult, if not impossible, to govern. And by govern, they just mean run things, not so much do things. The committee deal sweeteners, many Republicans are fed up with McCarthy's willingness to hand these committee posts to these insurrectionists, especially with talk of awarding them gavels. And some senior members who are like, I've been here for 10 years, waiting to get my chairmanship. You're not giving that to these guys. And they're starting to get mad about this. And so the argument goes from Benji Sarlin is that when you've got, like you mentioned, a couple of New York Congress people, a couple of California Congress people who are Republicans, they're frontliners, they're worried about this. There is this sort of notion of we're not going to, this is the thing that people don't understand, I think, on some level, is that they can win these concessions short term. But the amount of ill will that they're going to generate and the anger that they're going to generate with some members of, as angry as they are and hateful of McCarthy, they're going to have 4 times as many people with that sentiment towards them. And they're just going to sit back and wait until they can screw those people. And if it means the debt ceiling, because, you got New York and Republican and New Jersey Republicans. And the first thing that goes when the debt ceiling gets threatened is the stock market. I mean, they said that the stock market dropped the other day. Now, I'm personally not terribly concerned about the stock market does. It's almost like a completely separate anything from the real economy as far as I'm concerned. But for Republicans in New York and New Jersey, they have a lot of people who are heavily invested in the stock market who are going to be going you got to cast a vote and get past this debt ceiling thing. And I don't think there's going to be I think this is going to inhibit the ability for Republicans in the short term and the midterm to be on the same page about these things, because this is going to create a lot of dissent. It's a theory, anyways, that Sarlin has, and I tend to think that it's really possible it's going to inhibit their ability, because suddenly it's going to be more about McCarthy. Every time McCarthy does the bidding of these people, it's going to go back to this moment. And it's not going to be, there's just no measure of respect. He's doing his best. That's what we heard with Boner all the time, right?
Yeah.
Was that oh, he's being held hostage and you have to sympathize with him and this and that. And, and that's over. I think that era is over. McCarthy has lost so much respect through this from the DC pundit class. And I think from Democrats, that there's going to be no sort of fudging around this. And I don't think the Democrats, because if the Democrats are seen as cutting Social Security because of this, or Medicare, I don't think they would necessarily in this era be inclined to do it anyways. But it's even worse because they're capitulating to these 20 rogue members of the Republican Party. They're not even capitulating to the majority.
That's absolutely true.
And I think that dynamic is going to change the mentality around all of these things going forward. I don't know if it'll last 3 months or 6 months. It's certainly not going to last the full 2 years, but that's going to be the dynamic at least going forward. But to illustrate your point about how little this matters in terms of importance as to what they're going to do, let's play this clip. This is really funny because this guy had no idea what he was saying or how it would be received. What clip number is this? This is clip number 4. This is Representative French Hill, Republican from Arkansas. And he's going up and he's just not expressing what he thinks he's expressing here when he talks about what his constituents want.
2 years, we have lost our way on spending. Printing too much money at our central bank and spending here in Congress like drunken sailors. This bad policy palooza has gone into overdrive in the past 2 years with some $5 trillion of new spending demanded by President Biden and now delivered by the House minority, whose own budget chair famously said there's effectively no limit to what America can print, borrow, and spend. Of course, this is madness, and it's not anchored in any economic tenet, and there's not a single one of us here that isn't demanding a return to fiscal discipline. And who can deliver fiscal discipline? Kevin McCarthy. On the point of spending, let me show you a list of everyone who's written me in the 2nd Congressional District who's asked me to cut spending. I'm holding up a blank piece of paper. No one has asked me to cut spending in writing. And there are not many people who get a lot of mail in this House to cut spending and to set spending priorities. In contrast, we get hundreds of letters asking us to increase spending. But we're at a critical point in this nation's fiscal health, and there's one person to help see us through it, Kevin McCarthy.
I mean, so the guy, the guy says that we need to elect Kevin McCarthy to specifically go against the will of my voters.
Yes. He's the guy who'll get that done for you. He'll do exactly what you don't want nobody wants him to do.
But it also shows the dilemma, because that's exactly what the other 20 who are not voting for McCarthy are arguing too.
Yeah.
They're all saying, I mean, and Matt keeps bringing this up in terms of what was the Bacon revolt? What was it?
Yeah, Bacon's Rebellion.
Bacon's Rebellion, where Bacon and the governor both said, "I'm on the side of the king,"
Yeah,
and they fought each other over who. And they're all doing the same thing with Trump, and they're all doing it with we want to be the group that cuts funding despite the fact that we're getting all these letters saying we need help in our district. No, we're going to be the ones who are going to not listen to our constituents. And it's what, there's no, I mean, that's the amazing thing about this. There's no policy stakes And it almost seems like there's no, like, even their own voters don't care. Like, on some level, like, it's hard to imagine, like, what your typical Republican voter is saying, because there's no outrage about this, because like, they don't care. You know, they vaguely don't like, it's 50, they're not even 50-50 on McCarthy. They don't care that Congress doesn't do anything. No. That's why they all elected Donald Trump. They didn't elect Donald Trump to do stuff other than to tear stuff down in government. I mean, it's just like the people driving the car, the car's not moving. No. And so it doesn't matter who's got the steering wheel. That's basically it. Not.
Well, what they want, I mean, I do think there is something they want. I mean, they are enjoying the insurrection caucus sticking it to Kevin McCarthy because he's a rhino. And, you know, they don't even know what that means in terms of policy. They don't care. It's just he's been designated a rhino by, you know, others. And, you know, this is what bubbles up in right-wing media and on their message boards. But mostly what they want to do is own the libs. That's it. They just want to make people, you know, they just want to take down the Democrats and, you know, liberals and the woke and, you know, all of those constituencies. That's what they live for. That's all there is to it. I just don't think that they have any of this. That's what politics is to them at this point. And so these guys like Matt Gaetz or, you know, Boebert or the rest of this crazy crew, they're fulfilling that because they're showing that they don't care about anything but that either. And I don't even think they really care about that. It's a means to an end. They're just, you know, chaos agents, anarchists who just like to just cause trouble. There's no real, they don't have an agenda that they're trying to you know, produce for anybody. I mean, they're just doing this because they can. It's anarchistic, really. It's just this idea of I'm just going to make trouble because I can make trouble, and the people I'm making trouble for are the people that my constituents hate. They don't like rhinos and they don't like Democrats, and this is what I do. This is my job. And the thing is that here's the one thing that's really important to remember about this. The rest of the party, you know, you look at these 20 and they're the ones who have the most balls, right? They're just out there doing it. The rest of the party isn't really any different. And it's not like they've got a big agenda. Mitch McConnell ran in the last election saying, we don't have an agenda. We'll tell you what we're going to do once we get in power.
The last platform they produced was just like, we like Donald Trump.
Whatever Donald Trump was.
That was the platform.
What he said, that's their platform. So they're the same way. They don't have anything going on.
I would even contend that the reason why, like, I don't know, you know, maybe I'm not looking in the right places, but I don't even see any real engagement from Republican voters in this. Like, I'm not seeing, like, you know, we're seeing the Fox people hem and haw about it. Like you say, they're so ambivalent and confused, but like, I'm not seeing any like major, you know, weighing in on this by anybody on the right, because I think, on the contrary, all of them want to own the libs, but there's no lib owning going on. And really, it's only like the Democrats are just getting the opportunity to like applaud. And I feel like the Republican like voter has completely disengaged from this. They don't care. They're just waiting for the lib owning to happen.
They're waiting for the laptop.
Exactly. And they're just not engaged. I mean, I agree. Like, I think like this is one of the most like telling sort of distinctions between the Republicans and the Democrats, because, you know, like someone just said, like, asked me on IM, like, is there any Democratic equivalent to the speakership debacle? No, because the Democrats go in and you and I can take issue with the agenda. Many times we do. More often than not, it's because it's not aggressive enough or expansive enough. But they go in with an agenda when they take the House. They go in with an agenda. I don't know, Nancy Pelosi like passed, you know, under her leadership, and again, you and I would have liked a different speaker. but they passed a bunch of legislation. Like I don't know, like it was like hundreds of bills. Not the least of which was, a $2.3 trillion American Rescue Act. And there was a tremendous amount of pressure to get to work, right? I mean, like, because, and if they didn't, they were screwing up things. And there's none of that here. It's just, it's fascinating. I mean, there is no, and that's why I got to say, like, it seems to me this could go on for a long time. I mean, because they can't find a consensus candidate. And this is why I think they can't find a consensus candidate. Because if there is any signaling to the 20 that there is a consensus candidate, they will not cave. Right? I mean, even if there is like overtures as to what would you do, like what consensus candidate would you be in favor of, they will not cave because they'll know that they can win.
Yeah.
And McCarthy, now maybe there's somebody somewhere in the caucus who's going to secretly go and negotiate with them at this point and come up with a caucus. Like maybe Steve Scalise is sneaking out of meetings. I don't know, putting like some type of cloak over his head, if you will. Like maybe like some type of like white sheet to hide in and then sneak over to talk
how
to
weird. Did you think of Steve Scalise in a white sheet? I can't imagine.
No, I'm just thinking like some type of cloak. And he goes over and talks to them and says like, I'll do it, guys. But they can't really afford to float a consensus candidate at this point because and who would take it? Who would take it under the Kevin McCarthy terms? And why would the 20 give any other terms beside those at this point? I mean, it's a really weird situation that could be like really protracted. It seems to me.
Absolutely.
And then the only way I see out of this is that you get enough members leave, like a couple go home, and then out of that 20, 5 or 6 or what was the number that we figured out was the total number that we needed? Was it like 16?
It was, so 218 is how many McCarthy needs to clinch, but he can't lose 5.
So 5 would go over, he needs to bring down the numbers, but
if the people were to vote present, that would
if 15 of these people went over and voted for him, and then 1 or 2 voted present, he could win, right? Somewhere around there. Like he just has to get more than 212, which is what Jeffries is getting. And then they have to bring down that number down, the overall number to like 226 that are voting. So they got to, 9 people 4 people can leave because they got to deal with their family, and 5 of those holdouts, the 20 holdouts, can vote present, and they don't have to vote for McCarthy. And then, the rest vote for McCarthy, and that's it.
But just as an update, in this round, there have been 10 defections back.
To McCarthy.
Really?
To McCarthy. There have been about 10 defections back, but there are still 7 voting for either Jim
Those are the
Jordan
hardcore.
or Kevin
Interesting.
Hearn of Oklahoma.
Okay, so
it's still going to fail.
So
but
it's
10 have gone back.
So is that 211 to 212?
Yes, it's still going. There's still votes being read out, but it's 10 have gone back, including Scott Perry, the Freedom Caucus chair.
That's interesting.
Okay, so they may get to 212.
Yes.
The idea is if they get to 213, then all they need to do is the other people, the deal would be you just vote present.
Right.
And then he wins.
Well, remember, Democrats can vote present too. And they can leave too. If there's some vote counting like going on, and there are people in the Democratic caucus who are monitoring this, or maybe they've got a mole in the Republicans or whatever, who are, being able to suss out the plan, they can counteract that by
they can't counteract it, because if they leave, then the number goes even lower. His threshold becomes even lower. It is all based upon the number of people who cast votes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
And so if they leave or vote present, they will actually lower the threshold for McCarthy to get the majority. Now, maybe they'll do that just because they want to go home too, and they don't want to be seen as voting for McCarthy, but maybe...
I think a present vote is a vote for McCarthy. I don't think they get away with that. I think they'll be held responsible by the wingnuts if they vote present. But they can go out and say to the cameras, look, this is what I got. I got the chairmanship of the oversight committee or something. So, it was, don't worry, we'll take care of Kevin. That's part of the benefit of doing this deal, because even though as we've discussed, all of that is for real. It was going to happen anyway, because as they've shown, they don't have to have a committee chairmanship to do what they're doing. They can do all this stuff without any kind of a formal agreement. But having a formal agreement gives them a way of saying, we didn't capitulate to anything.
Right.
We got this, and it's in writing, and, his word is like oak, and, we'll do that. So that they can do that. And maybe that's really what their plan is. And, it's sad and pathetic for Kevin McCarthy, because it means that they had to actually, he had to deal with people by saying vote present, so that I can lower the threshold so I can actually win. And somebody yesterday on TV, I can't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned the idea that these people are so bad at counting that it's possible that they might accidentally vote in Hakeem Jeffries by mistake.
Well, I honestly think that that is not inconceivable. It really isn't. They could get the things wrong, or one member of the House could be like, I've got to go. My kid is sick. Or honestly, we've got these still, I want to go see my mom's funeral, and I'm not sticking around for this anymore, and I'm just going to go. And they may not tell anybody. And when the vote comes,
you could get into a car accident on you went down to, I don't know, went out to lunch and came back, and somehow you get delayed, and the vote happens and you're not there. This is how tight it is that could happen.
And when you get into votes 12 and 13 and 14, it's not like somebody's going around and making sure everybody's present in this moment. And so, it'll be interesting to see. Heather, I have a feeling we're going to be, I don't know.
We can be
I don't know if we're going to be talking about this again the
show.
next time you come on, but it's possible.
It certainly is possible. It is certainly possible. Oh my God. One thing, Kevin McCarthy, I can't remember who it was yesterday. Maybe it was Robert Costa on CBS, pointed out that it was Chad Pergram, who said that basically the deal that they're making is to make the Speaker of the House a ceremonial position.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, Kevin McCarthy, that is a perfect legacy for him. It's one of the most powerful jobs in the world, really. The Speaker of the House. It's certainly one of the most powerful jobs in the U.S. government, and he's turning it into a ceremonial position.
Still third in line to be president. So
God help us. Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Heather, always a pleasure.
Thanks
Happy New Year. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, starting the year off. All right.
Absolutely. All right. See you another time.
All right, folks. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to change things up a little bit, get deep into what's really going on in the minds of the Republican caucus, the help of Andy Kindler. We'll be right back after this.
You guys like to, why am I acting like a long-suffering person?
We're back.
That was so good. That was the best ever.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
I wish people could see me off air. I am so entertaining off the air.
Folks,
you like my background?
Yeah, I was. Hold on for 1 second. Don't we have something to play?
Oh, yeah. Don't not play me out with my song.
Yeah, I don't even know yet.
Oh, heads are gonna roll over there, Sam.
boy,
How
oh,
much
boy.
longer are you
Boy.
gonna put up with this nonsense? I've been on the show since 1973, and it's not on a cart.
Okay. Give us a second.
Matt, please. Matt, I insist. Matt, I am.
I would have had a
incensed.
Andy.
Okay, I'm incensed.
I almost called you Candy.
I almost called you Candy.
I like that. Candy Kindler.
Ladies and gentlemen, the host, co-host of Thought Spiral,
Stop mocking me. Stop mocking me through the intro.
I'm not mocking you. He is the voice of Mort, on Bob's Burgers. Also was on The Wizards of Waverly Place. I don't know if you remember that, ladies
Yes,
and
sir.
gentlemen.
Wizard, sir. Yes.
You may know him from Everybody Loves Raymond.
I just did an Ed McMahon. What the hell is? I mean, what am I? 95 years old.
We got it or what?
With a Jew like Andy Kindler, I said you can't go wrong.
Oh God.
He's the guy
This
who
is
wrote the
embarrassing.
great.
We don't have it. We don't have it.
You know what, folks?
All right.
This is what
Andy,
happens. This is what
let's-
happens. Remember
let's
when
do
the
this another
Medicare,
time.
when
Let's
the
do this
healthcare
another time.
website? Okay, I'll see you later. Bye bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Remember when
Andy
the healthcare?
Kindler. All right. Well, listen. I'm sorry we didn't get that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I got nothing.
That's
Wait, you
it.
talking to me?
Yeah.
No. I was just. That's a general look of discontent. That's going into any question.
That's it. We don't have any.
With a Jew like Andy Kindler,
I've got
I
it
said
right
you
here.
can't
Hold
go
on.
wrong.
Shoot.
He's the
How
one
do I?
who
How do
did
I? How do I? Let's
the
see.
great American song.
Oh God, this is really bad. This is.
You know,
bad
Irving.
radio.
Thank God Irving Berlin is dead, and thank God Irving Berlin didn't know more than 3 chords. And thank God Irving Berlin. How did he write those songs? He didn't have a note in his head.
Let's see if I can do this. Hold on. Here we go. Here, I got it. There, I just sent it to you. Okay. All right. So, Andy, anyways, welcome to the show.
I guess the fundraising drive didn't work out. I guess the equipment drive. I guess the drive to get your technical part of the show didn't work out.
With a Jew like Andy Kindler, you know you can't go wrong. His ancestors wrote the God Bless America song. A true Obama bot, and he believes Obama can never be wrong. Yeah, Andy Kindler.com. You made me laugh so hard, I had to write you your theme song. Andy Kindler.
That is from Jimmy Reefer Cake. I don't know where Jimmy Reefer Cake has been these days. We never heard.
Well, that's
back
not
from
right.
Jimmy.
You didn't kick him off of the? Did you cut off his reefer or his cake?
No, we expanded legalization in the country, and maybe he gave up his moniker. I don't know.
I heard something about CBD going after CBD. I don't know. I heard something on NPR. I got very nervous.
Andy,
I'm at the.
They're
pot
going
shop all
after
day.
CBD. What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't hear the whole story. I hear just the tail end.
Right, of course. That's the way you listen to all of your radio news. Andy, are you here to pitch your branded alcohol?
Yes. Let me tell you something. Trump vodka. I'll never forget when Trump pitched his vodka on Larry King, and he said it's Trump vodka, some of the greatest vodkas of all around the world. And Larry says, "Is it one specific? Is it one specific vodka?" No, no. It is many vodkas combined together to form the greatest. But no, I'm not doing. I'm doing Kahlua. I have a.
Was it a
fingers crossed
vodka
on my
blend?
Kahlua.
Was it a vodka blend?
No,
All
no,
right,
it
Andy,
wasn't a
let's-
vodka blend. He couldn't identify like Smirnoff or it's coming from the Ukraine. He didn't know where the vodka was coming from, and he doesn't drink. Is the main
right.
thing.
Oh, I see.
He
Now,
doesn't drink. He hates drinking.
All right, let's start at the beginning here, though. Andy.
Like Hitler. He's like Hitler. He's an ascetic.
What is going on? What is going on with your backdrop? It's all changed. What happened?
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I don't understand, Sam. In the old days, if I was to have a conversation with you, you never would say, "Hey, what's behind you? Why don't you put a diorama up there? Hey, do you have any other things you can have behind you?" Hey, how come we can't? You don't look like you're in 3-dimensional space. What is it with you kids? You have constant.
Wait, are you sitting on a
bang,
couch
bang.
now? What happened to the table? What happened to the whole?
Our office, okay, the Cameo Majority Report studio is undergoing some repairs.
Oh, I see. You're upgrading your Cameo studio.
No, / Majority Report.
Oh, I see.
I see people in the booth it's like sometimes they laugh like this and sometimes they're like, oh God, what is he doing? What is he doing? We're just starting to get momentum going.
Andy can see Matt and Bradley. Just why don't you pop up what Andy sees, just so that we can let people
see? Oh, you always see.
Well, I can, but I'm talking to the audience. The audience can't see what you can see
unless they get Majority Report Plus. They subscribe to that.
Oh, that's actually a good idea,
right?
You get the full. I wonder how we could do that. I'm not even sure.
Matt
how you would go
and Bradley will talk individually to you during the whole show for an extra $15.
All right, so you're undergoing. Yeah, there it is. You can see those guys. There it is.
It just shows how the sausage is made.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. They're literally making sausage during most of your segment, which is that's when we do it.
The noise canceling,
so that we have for the weekend.
This is a virtual background. I went with living room.
Yeah, that's green screen, right? And you set up a green screen to. Andy, Happy New Year? What did you do? Everybody wants to know. What does Andy Kindler do on New Year's Eve?
I've never, as you know, I don't live. I did drink. I drank champagne. Every year I tried to have another relationship with alcohol.
I was going to say, you drank? I didn't know that you even. I thought you were a total teetotaler.
No, I went with this thing where you put a little. I don't get anything from Chambord. Order now and get Andy Kindler Chambord, 2 bottles for $7. I had champagne with Chambord, which is called something. It's
I don't even know what Chambord is. What is Chambord?
It's a raspberry liqueur.
Yeah.
Oh God, Andy.
So I got a little nauseous after the.
It just
sounds
nauseous
like it.
Sounding. It's like it makes me nauseous just thinking about it.
It's called
it's a classy
Royale.
drink.
A Cure Royale.
Well, that's not what it's cream. Cure Royale is cream de cassis, and I know that only because I was a bartender. A bartender at Denny's.
Did they run out of
bartender? You know that, right?
Did they run out of wine spritzers at the local Piggly Wiggly, or what's going on?
Oh my God, you slammed everything. Oh, so I'm bad now because I shop at a place that infantilizes me and calls me Piggly Wiggly? What's wrong with the South?
Well,
Can't you have a normal supermarket?
So you had a little bit of Chambord with champagne. Like, did you go out or did you just sit? Were you just sitting like where you're sitting now?
I watch Anderson. Hopefully Anderson and Andy. I keep hoping that the one time it worked 4 years ago when they all laughed after they fired. Hey, you can believe that they fired Kathy Griffin. Anderson Cooper cut Kathy Griffin out of his life for what?
Oh, did he really cut her out of his life?
Yes.
Were they friends? Weren't they friends?
Yes, they were friends. I mean, it's hard to be friends with Kathy Griffin. I can attest to that.
Right.
But, she has that thing. Doesn't that sound kind of funny now? The thing that she did with that photographer years ago? That sounds hilarious.
Where she held up Donald Trump's head. I know. It's just, are you kidding?
I do that in the morning just before my coffee. I do that online. I do that.
So I didn't realize that he had actually like personally cut her out of his life.
Yeah, he did. And let me ask you, if you did something like that, you could see the person going, look, Kathy, I'm Anderson Cooper. I'm not,
we can't have you on the show, and we're not really
but I love you, but I'm so sorry it happened. No, he came out with this is ridiculous, and this is out. That he pretended to be outraged by that. It's sad, and it's wrong, and it's 3 other things in ascending funnier order. It's ridiculous, it's mellifluous, and it's Nipsey Russell.
So, if I understand you correctly, you spent New Year's Eve watching Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen from Bravo.
Right.
Drinking. And my understanding is they were not allowed to drink this year. And you were drinking.
Is that true?
Yeah. You were drinking champagne and Drambuie or whatever it was, sitting on that couch.
Champagne and Drambuie. Yeah,
Hey, dude,
I was sitting on that
how,
couch.
like, honestly, like, isn't it better just to be like, go on like a, what are those like walking machine, like a, what are those walking machines?
Elliptical?
Yeah.
Is it an elliptical?
Well, aren't you better off just like spending a couple hours on the treadmill and going to sleep at 10 if that's what you're going to do? Like, don't you want to like, don't you want to set like get 2023 going in the right way or send off
with Ryan
2022?
Seacrest? With Seacrest. Normally I do. I watch Seacrest for hours at a time. I'm just trying to figure out why. Why did it happen? He is not good talking normally. He's not unique in any way. He doesn't say things that are interesting. People don't like him. He's unlikable.
Here's a story I heard. And I don't honestly, if Ryan Seacrest, I know the name, but if he was standing in this studio, I wouldn't know who he was.
You
I would
wouldn't
just
know
be like,
him, no.
Who's that dude that's in here?
Yeah.
You a
With the
fan of
fake
show?
name.
Give
With
him
the
a
fake
t-shirt.
name.
But
His name
this
might
is a
as well be
story I
Ryan
heard-
Seabiscuit.
This is a story I heard from an agent who had called me at one point. This is like 10, 12 years ago. Wanted to represent me, like in, doing like news stuff. And I wasn't terribly.
You mean the left wing news?
Like no
Or that was
broadcast, not just left wing, but just like broadly broadcast. And I just I didn't want any type of representation.
It wouldn't be.
But
good.
he told me this story of like Dick Clark. He was talking about like a smart like broadcaster like Dick Clark. He knew his time was limited to do the New Year's thing, and so he could have like fought off Ryan Seacrest, but instead he took him under his wing and took like 10% of his future earnings or some story like that.
Who comes up with a story?
Who
likes a story like that?
And that's what he did. And he said Dick Clark was a visionary, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, Dick Clark was a visionary only in the sense that he was very good with booking people of all races and pushing that forward. But
this agent would argue with you that he was also a visionary in that he, instead of like trying to fight off Father Time, he embraced Father Time.
He was 95 when he made that decision to take Ryan Seacrest
Yes.
under his wing.
Yeah, do you remember when he came out after he'd had a stroke? It was really, it was like, there was such mixed feelings about it because he hadn't fully recovered. And everybody wanted him because he was so glib and, and he came out and it was sort of, I think some people freaked out about it. I can't really remember. I don't know if I ever
people
watched it.
aren't comfortable with aging. And I'm just going by the numbers of people who seem to be following what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I see a big drop off. When I turned 60,
honestly,
he could still. No, because there never was a drop off from what?
What? So your New Year's was not huge.
Well, I had a lot of pot too. A lot of pot cookies.
Oh, okay,
and,
pot cookies.
As you
All
know,
right.
I take pot in every form that it's available.
You take it now. Are you taking?
Well,
pot?
yes, lip gloss. I pot lip gloss when your lips need to be a little bit, perked up.
Now,
Funny.
are you going out more? I saw a video of you walking outside. That was like an advertisement for a cameo. And
that's what I do. I do outdoor cameos now. First, I charge a little extra. I charge $35 for cameo, and business is slow.
You're completely undercutting yourself.
Oh, well, should I go? Oh, am I like a capitalist idiot who's bringing the market down to a ridiculous price and everyone has suffered?
You've made it so much more difficult for other Andy Kindlers out there to raise their cameo rates because you are charging so little. You're bringing down the market on all Andy Kindler cameos.
What does Ben Shapiro charge to bore?
I don't know. I don't know if he is. But
Ben
so, are you
Shapiro.
going out? Are you doing shows?
No,
what are you doing?
no,
What are you doing?
I am excited to announce that I got an acting job. People don't think I can act. People don't think that my career went well.
Hold on. Did you say you had news?
I heard something. And from the Andy Kindler desk, Andy Kindler will be playing a comedian in the TV show Hacks. filming next week.
Are you serious? In a show called Hacks?
Yes, in a fictional roast of the Gene Smart character.
Who's Gene Smart?
Oh, you got it.
Are you asking who Gene Smart is generally?
What?
Are you asking who Gene Smart is generally, or who Gene Smart is in the show?
Who's Gene Smart generally?
Oh, okay. Gene Smart is an actress, and
very good, excellent actor.
She's very good. She's very talented.
It's a great show,
in the show
You'd
Hacks,
love
which
this
is a show about her. She's like the main character. She's like a struggling, not struggling, but sort of like older comedian trying to kind of like.
Is she real?
Oh yeah,
she's
I've
a real
watched
person.
this.
Yeah.
Cool, Andy. It's a pretty good show.
She's a real. Gene Smart's a real person, but she plays a comic who employs a younger writer to kind of like spruce up her material.
Oh, is it like based on on the river on Joan Rivers?
Could be.
No, I don't think so. Hannah Einbinder, who is Lorraine Newman and Chad Einbinder's daughter, she's in the show. She's fantastic.
She's the younger writer. She's like the writer to help spruce up her material.
I've not heard of this show, but that's great.
You would love it, Sam. You would love it if you were still watching TV. You only watch political thrillers.
No, I gotta say, the only thing that I'm watching, I keep rewatching House of Cards.
Tell me, be honest with me. Should I watch? Should I watch? I've never watched that show. Should I watch it now?
No,
was it always
the moment
bad,
passed?
Spacing aside,
the first season was good, but then it got into like territory that was just too like conspiratorial and too like. But you know what's a great show? Honestly, Andor.
Write down
Andor.
Andor what?
That's good. This is Cameo, folks. Come on. Seriously,
That's
$35? Are you kidding?
That's the type of thing. I do a great Valentine cameo. Hey, idiot, enjoy Valentine's Day, you stupid. I do sarcastic Valentines. Why don't you be my Valentine, moron? Like that.
Oh, that's actually, I like that.
I'm sorry, keep going. I screwed up.
Andor is one of the Star Wars series, but it's not too Star Warsy at all. It's not nearly as campy as Star Wars is. It's really actually like.
I hope you see what I wrote here. I wrote it down, and as soon as you said Star Wars, I crossed it out.
I'm telling you, it's more like somebody described it as, and I don't know, was it Matt? Did you describe it as this? Somebody described it as like almost like like those World War II like movies where, like Kelly's Heroes or. A Bridge Too Far or Forced Navarone or something like that.
I think they're Bridges of Navarone.
Bridges of Navarone. Like, where it's like some military escapade. It sort of feels like that a little bit. But it's quite good.
I forgot now. What are we talking about? What now? I forgot.
Andor.
Does everybody else besides Sam, does anybody else recommend it? Because now I see Sam is like an old Jewish man who hasn't seen social media in 30 years.
I haven't seen it.
No, it's good. I enjoyed it. It is good.
Okay, well, I thought you were pranking me because sometimes you might. Oh, Sam, don't look. I think I've hurt your feelings. I think you were pranking, like you were saying, boy, I do respect your take on what's out there in the world. I always follow your advice.
Oh, all right.
Don't be sad. Don't be upset. I hope this doesn't drive a wedge through Casual Friday in us.
I mean, it's a little bit. I offer something that I think you're going to enjoy, and you spit all over it.
This is the look casting people. That's one of the looks I do.
Oh, I thought you were saying that the look I'm giving you is what you get from casting people.
Look, I wasn't. Here's the truth, Sam. And I hope you have time.
I'm sorry, Andy. Did your agent not give you the sides in advance?
That's exactly true. Sam, I don't know why I have time for this. All of my family is gone except for my brother. And what was my point? I swear to God, I didn't realize what the point was. I just realized, that's really true. I don't know. I had something to go there. This is a new thing that I had that people aren't excited about on radio or online. I forget what I said the minute I say it.
I am like that too. I mean, this comes with our age, our advanced age.
You're 50, I think, or 47. Correct?
No, I am 56.
You are the age of my year that I was born. This is big news. I was born in 1956.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
You're not that old. Are you kidding?
I should put a reel together of things like that. You're not that old, are you?
No.
You're not in comedy, are you? No.
You're just a couple of years older than me.
No, I've always been at least 10 years older than everybody. I've always been 10 years old, except for Lewis Black. I was always younger than him.
Well, I mean, everybody.
And David Brenner was from my generation too. Right?
Are you serious?
No, I'm 60. Yeah, I'm serious about being 66. And if I wasn't serious about it, it's the worst bit I've ever started.
I thought you were. Honestly, I thought maybe you were 60. Maybe.
Did you see what I was doing there, Sam? Classic old style comedy. No, I'm fine. I'm 66.
Well, no, I mean, if I was just going by your comedy, I would say like maybe closer to like. Mort Saul's age.
Okay, Fibber McGee. Easy, Fibber McGee and Molly. You do Golden Age radio bits?
I don't even know the
Bicklers, the Bickersons.
Weren't you Tom and Ray's executive producer back then?
What? Tom and Ray? How come you mean Bob and Ray?
Bob and Ray. Tom and Ray.
You know, Sam, you don't have, for someone who's Jewish and can't stop talking about how they wish they weren't Jewish, you have no history of the you don't have any of that Sid Caesar where you walk around talking in a fake German accent history of comedy.
Well, that's because I wasn't born when that was.
He got me again. He went with the age bit again. I think I've always looked extremely young. That's really true. But I don't color my hair like many people claim. That would assume that people are interested.
Yeah, people. I am. A lot of people claiming that.
No, I don't do anything yet. I'm not afraid.
No wrinkles. You're completely wrinkle free. No. Look at that, and you have no. I mean, no, you're looking great. You're looking.
This
great
is great.
Shape.
This
and
is
look
great.
You're taking long walks with your cameo. So what? So this is exciting. You've got a. Is this a reoccurring role? Or guest role?
No. It's a roast of if you watch the show, and I'm sure you will at one point because you really will love the show. It's really, really funny. It's just they're roasting her. She's doing a roast on the show.
I see.
So so I'm coming in to do the roast, and whenever I get an acting
what else
job,
have you been doing? Bob's Burgers.
Oh no, I haven't done. I did Bob's Burger before the end of the year. I think at December. Did you?
No, I did one maybe midway through last year.
Why did I say that? Who says something like that as a nice person? Yeah, I just did one. How about you there, Sam? No, you did the movie with us.
That's good. I want to know. Yeah,
yes.
I had such a tiny part in the movie. Such a tiny.
No, we all did. We all had one line.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
We all have one line. Why do I lie all the time? I was told by my therapist and my people to stop lying, and I think I really need to up my game.
Bradley Fan Club, IAMS. This is the second time Sam has been surprised by Kindler's age in the last year. Neither of you remembering. It's funny.
I'm pretty sure the last time you were on, Andy, you said it was either you said you were 65 or close to your 65th birthday. And
okay.
And you were surprised.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought. I thought you were 65. I had no idea you were 66.
This is a terrible. In other words, your current bit that you're doing now is you knew I was 65. It's 66 that shocked you.
Shocked. Absolutely shocked. Are you going into comedy clubs at all? When was the last time you were in a comedy club?
I did a thing for Montreal in July of 2020.
Wasn't that a hologram?
No, I did a hologram too. That was hologram, which I did so I did the holograms. No, I haven't been in a club since one time in a club, and I don't plan to go.
Do you miss it?
I'm starting to miss it a little bit now, but when the pandemic first hit, it was like,
right.
I don't miss going down to the Improv for $7 where a whole, 10 people don't get me. I can literally stay home and save that experience. It's not like I need to go down to the trenches like I'm 21 years old. I used to do stand-up every night of the week, like you did, every night of the week, everywhere.
I never really did that, but
right.
I never did it every night. There was a couple of years where I would do it like maybe 5 times a week or something like that. But
you were in New York. They were great. You were doing great gigs
I didn't
in there
do stand-up so much in New York. By the time I got to New York, I was doing more like the alternative comedy room type of stuff.
Are you telling me you were the house MC at Nick's?
Up in Boston? At Nick's Comedy Stop? I never got... I may have done that once, but then they were just like, you're a little too Jewish.
So where'd you get your start? Where was your start?
It was Catch in Boston.
Oh, okay. And the Comedy Studio too, or?
Comedy Studio opened up a little bit after, but the Comedy Connection, which was down from Nick's, was open.
I
for
never
a
went
while.
to Nick's. I never.
Yeah, Nick's was a little bit hostile, but then there was so many different rooms up there that you go in, like Kowloon's, and that's where I did most of the stand-up.
I started in LA.
I was at Stand Up New York a couple of times, and maybe
what years were those? Would you say?
Early 90s.
Okay, so I was trying. Someone asked me when we met, but we didn't meet. We met through Sarah Silverman's show, right?
Her show?
No, your show, your movie, the movie you were making.
I feel like we knew each other before
we
then.
did
briefly,
know each other before that.
But yes, Who's the Caboose? I had you do something hilarious in that.
I was an agent on that show.
No, you were. I think you were a producer.
Let me finish.
You were a producer. And you came up with the Stacy Papadusky song.
Say Papadusky, Papadusky. Do you think everybody under 40 has turned the show off, or do you think they're saying, "I like to hear these old guys. I like to hear where these old guys came from, and it helps me form my worldview"?
I think there's a lot of people who listen to this and say, like, "Gosh, I wish my older uncles were like this."
Yeah, exactly. That is the best feedback I could get. Andy Kindler was like an older uncle who could sometimes make you laugh, but a lot of times made you feel creepy.
Let's talk about Joe Rogan for a moment.
Oh, I haven't prepared. I have not prepared for this segment.
No, I know you have not. But
I never did before.
I'm quite sure you're aware of who this guy is, right? Oh wait, should we talk? We can either go over Rogan. There's a couple of things like we got to cut Rogan, being the. Well, let's do the Rogan thing later because let's talk about Dave Rubin. Did you ever run into Dave Rubin when he was back doing comedy?
No, because it's unbelievable. With the he had the best punchline. Hey, the guy with the soy latte is going, "I ordered oat," something like that. He was a terrible. I met him on an interview show, and believe it or not, at that time period, he seemed like was trying to be a nice guy. He seemed like did not imagine, even from his talking on the show, that he would turn out to be such an evil influence. He really went for it.
He wanted to make some cash, and it's been a little bit harder for him as of late because his audience found out that he was having kids with his husband, and then the audience realized, like, hey, wait a second.
Hold it a minute here.
Wait a second. We don't believe in identity politics, but we also don't believe that you should be allowed to live.
This just got real. It just got real for his fans.
And so he is in overdrive, and that overdrive is here's a Bullion Max. Let's play this, and then we'll roll in from his ad a little bit. Just a good cut in halfway through the ad. He's advertising gold coins now. Here we go.
Bullion Max's silver starter kit and employee pricing. Just go to bullionmax.com.
Pause it for 1 second. We should note you get employee pricing from him.
I didn't know that. I wasn't
aware. You get the
of that.
employee deal. So only the people who work at Bullion Max and get this price.
I'm jealous of those guys.
Yeah.
Max's silver starter kit and employee pricing. Just go to bullionmax.com/Dave. The kit includes 5 of the most desirable silver products to invest in, including a silver American eagle and a silver Australian kangaroo. This offer is limited to just 1 per household, so get yours now. Go to bullionmax.com/Dave. That's bullionmax.com/Dave. And now back to me. All right, so I was up in Tallahassee for the inauguration of Governor DeSantis, and it felt good.
Is he gonna cry?
Like there were happy people, functional people. There was a celebration of we're doing it right. We live in the right state. And by the way, it wasn't just, when there's an inauguration, the lieutenant governor is also being sworn in, the secretary of state, the attorney general. There's a whole slew of good people doing good work in this state. And it really starts with one F word. Not that F word, the other F word, freedom. And that's exactly what Governor DeSantis was talking about in his speech after being sworn in.
Mr. Chief Justice, members of the cabinet, and fellow citizens, from the Space Coast to the Sun Coast, from St. John's to St. Lucie, from the streets of Hialeah to the Speedway in Daytona, from the Okeechobee all the way up to Micanopy,
Checks notes.
freedom lives here in our great sunshine state of Florida.
Pause. You can see me upper left back over there. I think I was applauding instead of tweeting at that very moment. That's the idea. Freedom lives here.
I was applauding instead
He was
of
there.
tweeting.
He was there. He was up in the corner there.
At least he doesn't say anything that's ass kissy, though. At least he's really sober about it.
The thing that interests me about that clip is how Ron DeSantis is one of the least charismatic people we've seen rise to the Republican top since Scott Walker.
He couldn't even get through like the applause lines.
No, it really like
he was like, "Oh, Okeechobee," right? Just like not even the location stuff.
this is like a guy who goes into like Bakersfield and is like, "Who here is from Bakersfield?" And,
As a diminutive person, I like that they call him Short Trump. I think that's a good name for him. That's what I've been hearing them call. So I do imagine, is he like 5'9"? Is he a compact fascist?
Ron DeSanctimonious.
Ron DeSanctimonious is a... By the way, I thought I was the first person to call Jank Uger Janktimonious. I thought I was the first one. Janktimonious.
So Andy, what else we got?
Oh wait, let me ask you a question though. Is Dave Rubin? He sounds more and more like he's doing an impression of a stupid man, of like a stupid guy. No, I'm not only, and I'm first of all, my father unintentionally made me feel like I wasn't intelligent. So I'm not. I don't like jokes that are based on intelligence. But the way his vowels come out, it's like he knows less than he knew previously, and he's hitting it harder with his voice. I don't know why he said that.
No, it's weird. He's like
sounds like this.
He's doing less. I think he's just doing less, and so he's doing actual less substance. Like they don't know.
He's a dad. He's on autopilot.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly I think what's going on there. And so that means that you've got to put in like a little bit more of that flourish when you talk, and just like fill it full of meaningless platitudes.
What a horrible existence it must be for him.
I
keep thinking that he's living knowing he's a horrible human. I don't think he does.
I wonder if he lives in constant, with a certain amount of like constant anxiety.
Oh, you have to, I think.
That the fact that he's gay and a parent is going to sink him in some way.
Did he make the decision to get the kids already?
Oh yeah, no. I think he might have the kids now.
Oh, I thought he was going to I thought he was going to stop being gay. I would have imagined he would have gone the other route and just stopped being gay and went to one of those conversion classes. You know what I'm saying? Why would he even hold on to the vestige of anything that he pretended to be for before?
Well,
like,
I mean,
he wasn't
that would be a big. That would be a big. Yeah, but I mean, kudos to him for not pretending that he's not gay. I guess is really what you're trying to say.
But he plays down the gay now, right? Well, he never played up the gay before.
Well, he doesn't need to raise the fact because he's no longer arguing that he's, his whole thing was he hated identity politics. But when people would accuse him of being conservative, he'd be like, I am married to a man.
That was his initial shtick, right? The initial shtick was the old... the left is right wing now. I'm not more comfortable now as a gay man. I couldn't be comfortable as a gay man because the people when I was a demo, in the liberal circles, they go, "How's your husband doing?" And it's like, stop prying. Now people know that I'm gay, but I'm ashamed about it.
And at one point, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when his kids go to school in Florida. I imagine they're probably going to go to a private school. And so maybe they won't be subject to a situation where, they're not allowed to talk about the fact that they have two fathers. At the private school he'll go to, they'll probably be allowed to talk about that, as opposed to, in a public school, kids go in there and I have two dads.
They're saying gay, right? They're saying gay.
The teacher would have to fight back on that. But
as long as they don't say gay, isn't that the rule?
Right.
You can't say gay.
Well, you also can't just talk about in, general dynamics that would suggest that you're not heterosexual.
Well, the classic thing is, let me just say one thing. Every argument being used against trans people is the exact argument that was used against gay people. It's the exact argument. It's not even changed at all. What's next? Do you marry a couch? It's all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Which, you know what? Let's talk about this. I don't know if you saw this story. Do you know who Matt Schlapp is?
Yes, I do. He is the head of the Conservative Schmeckel Forum.
Yeah, he is. He is the.
His wife is terrible too, I think, isn't she? The whole family's bad.
Well, his wife is probably going through a lot right now. He is the chairman of the American Conservative Union. He runs CPAC, and apparently this has been rumored amongst reporters for years and years.
He's gay.
But a staffer for Herschel Walker's Senate campaign has alleged to the Daily Beast that Matt Schlapp made sustained and unwanted and unsolicited sexual contact with him while the staffer was driving Schlapp back from an Atlanta bar this October. It occurred on the night of October 19th. Schlapp groped and fondled the staffer's crotch in the staffer's car against his will after buying him drinks at two different bars. Apparently, Schlapp had traveled to Georgia for a Walker campaign event, and he said he was aware of the power dynamic with Schlapp, who is regarded as the Schlappiest person in the conservative movement.
Is he not? I thought he was. His wife was also a prominent.
Oh yeah, he's married.
She's a prominent, but isn't she also a prominent, outspoken schmeckel herself?
Oh yeah, she is.
Mercedes Schlapp. I have some info on her. This is from her Wikipedia. In June 2020, amid the George Floyd protests against racism and police brutality, she retweeted praise for a man who was wielding a chainsaw against protesters while he was yelling the N-word. After Political asked for comment, she retweeted another account that posted the video of the chainsaw-wielding man, but which muted the N-word. After Political published the story, she apologized. Schlapp opposes same-sex marriage. She called President Barack Obama's decision to support it a political ploy. I wonder why she's so against same-sex marriage.
The staffer, in his late 30s, recalled that while he drove Schlapp back to the hotel, Schlapp put his hand on his leg, then reached over and fondled his crotch at length while he was frozen in shock. I don't know if the guy was actually driving. I guess he was driving. And Schlapp
that is a
CPAC.
That happens to be a CPAC initiation ceremony. So he could have been
right. I mean, isn't that what the Proud Boys do?
Yes, they do. They look down to see, first of all, if you're circumcised, and if you are, they give you a gold star because they're Nazis. The Proud Boys.
The guy called it.
Oh, I don't want any pro-Proud Boy letters coming at me.
Oh yeah, you're going to get a lot of those on this program. Calling it scarring and humiliating. Schlapp invited him to his room. Stafford declined and left as quickly as he could. And then, basically the next day, the guy got himself out of having to drive Schlapp around by telling, somebody in the Walker campaign. The Walker campaign was very responsive, apparently. But after...
the Walker campaign was responsive in what way?
In that they took him off the driving Matt Schlapp around beat.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like Herschel Walker was like, hey, get it back in that car. And
apparently the guy, the staffer, got a call from Schlapp when the staffer got home that night, making sure that the staffer was going to pick Schlapp up in the morning. And the guy after that basically made a bunch of videos to essentially make a contemporaneous record of what had just happened, just of himself retelling the story, which he shared with at least two other people and including his wife, the staffer's wife. And he basically said, like, did I do something that, what's wrong with me? In the video, Matt Schlapp of the CPAC grabbed my junk and pummeled it at length. And I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell is going on? This person is literally doing this to me, the staffer said in the video. From the bar to the Hilton Garden Inn, he has his hands on me, and I feel so effing dirty. I feel so effing dirty. I'm supposed to pick this mother effer up in the morning and just pretend like nothing happened. That's what I'm dealing with, the staffer said. This is what I got to do. And then he basically called the campaign the next day and said, I can't pick him up. The guy grabbed my junk, and they were like, okay, we'll basically tell Schlapp to screw off.
Schlapp.
And apparently, like, there are reporters who have like rumored this for a long time, and this is back 15 years ago. This was not unique at all in the Republican Party. 15, 20 years ago, this was not unique at all. You had to stay in the closet. But, these days, and I guess Schlapp has to stay in the closet because, of course, he's the chair of the CPAC. And
he's denied everything, right?
He's denied everything. They're looking into legal recourses, what they have on this report. And I will bet anything I own that the legal recourse will be, we've actually just decided no legal recourse.
Well, will he get, I guess the question is, what could you do to?
Well, I guess what Schlapp could do would be to report this guy to the police and say he was driving while getting basically engaging in,
right,
manual stimulation.
Right.
But I don't think that's the kind of legal recourse that Schlapp is talking about.
But he's not going to have to step down as the fascist leader of the organization.
Oh, first off, God knows how many people who are also like around him that are also closeted there at CPAC. I mean, no.
Can I do my CPAC?
It'll be completely meaningless. It'll be completely meaningless. They don't
classic
care.
CPAC joke. You ready?
Yes.
Yeah. I ordered a CPAP machine, and I got a CPAC machine by mistake. And the only thing I noticed was that my breathing got racist.
Okay.
What is this? Do I have to adjust my comedy for the younger set?
The CPAP. Yeah, the like
CPAC is hilarious.
That people love that joke at the sleep center.
You just nailed me. You nailed me
at the sleep center.
My prostate joke.
Wait, who
don't go over?
I don't know how we had that. We didn't have your theme song. That's what we had labeled as Andy's theme song.
You also have that's an actual recording of someone going bucket of fish. That's an actual one.
Well, God knows what they're planning right now. You can see them.
Two of those guys are planning, and it still takes a long time.
Yeah, no
this is Andy's intro. Yeah.
Oh, classic. Well, I'm going to have to push back on this. Push back's my favorite thing. Also, I like. I do a lot of work in the comedy space. That's my other favorite. We're in the talking space right now, right?
Right. No, yeah. Space. No, it would be inappropriate if you were too funny.
I'm going to push back on this. Matt Schlapp, I can't even play. That's why I was not good at improv. Now say something positive about Matt Schlapp, and your person go.
Matt Schlapp is definitely, I was going to say, at least he's not racist, but I also remember that time where he was like super racist about his buddy, Michael Steele. I'm actually really curious about what Michael Steele's perspective is going to be on this, because I can't remember exactly the details of this.
I remember the details.
But Matt Schlapp basically said something
calm down or something, right? Calm down.
No, it was more like more or less said that like he was.
He basically said they had a conversation at a CPAC a few years ago, and he was basically saying that Steele couldn't really be a representative of the Republican Party or like RNC leadership, because he was like, you just make everything about race. Like, it's all about you. It's all about like how you just make everything a black thing. Like,
something like that. And
boy, he changed the party when he was over there, Michael Steele. Boy, he really. Thank you for fighting the good fight. Michael.
Well, that was the interesting thing. We talked to Digby about this today. Like in that era, the Republican Party was really sort of like attempting to pretend. Exactly. And now they don't even pretend to pretend.
Oh,
like the idea of like the Republican Party, the chair of the Republican Party being a black person at this point, like no way. I mean, they're like, and nobody's even like taking it seriously when they nominate Donald's for Speaker of the House.
Right.
Like anybody, they're like, come on, guys, seriously. But I wonder if Steele at that time felt any like inclination to sort of say like, Matt, you're pretty hypocritical about some things, but we're not going to talk about that.
I don't think they did. I think Michael Steele, and I know we love him. I don't really love him. I actually don't like him that much, only because he's yelled at me on Twitter.
Oh, well, I mean, who hasn't?
He's yelled at me on Twitter. He's full of whatever you can say on this show, because he used to go on. He was a guy who went on hardball a lot. Remember? People forget how horrible TV was back in those days. I wasn't sure. You know what? Militant Apathy says, no, it was more like you got your job because you're black. I think that's what it was. Yeah. And, I think. Oh, God.
I don't know why you take that job if you're Michael Steele anyways, unless that's the way you got on TV, I guess. I mean, that was a career move.
Yeah, I mean, he happens to be qualified too, relative to other people who could have that job. Right. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to think the Republican Party, but I guess.
And there's so few people of color in the Republican Party. In fact, that same guy who was around with Michael Steele is still there.
Blackwell?
Yes, he's been around. He's one of these people who's been
around.
He was
the Ohio
forever.
Secretary of State. I don't know if he's in but I don't really remember. But he was the Ohio Secretary of State. But maybe he moved over to the RNC.
Yeah, because he was recently involved in something where they were all.
He's a fellow with the Family Research Council.
Oh, he's in the Family Research Council.
Well, then he's doing something.
He's researching
good.
Families.
All right. Well, he's part of a group. I like when the Heritage Foundation. It's a foundation of heritage.
That's right, and we know what the heritage is.
White people.
Andy,
we
glad to connect with you.
Right?
On 20. What are you talking about? So glad to connect with you.
I love you so much, Sam. I really feel. I actually want to say this from the bottom of my heart. Yes, I may interrupt you when I speak. Yes, I may be rude and self-absorbed, which I got from my mother, who's no longer with us, but her influence still holds. Yes, I have many, many problems, and I don't even hear my own voice when I'm talking. But I just want to say that I love you very much, and I really do love you very much. I love this show very much, and this show has been. I don't really have a career, but it's been so great for the career I would have had I kept my nose to the grindstone and there was no pandemic.
If only we had done that.
And remember, I always close weak, Sam. Remember that.
Andy, we love you here. So glad to see you at the beginning of this year, and I love how sentimental you're getting with each passing year. So
I think I'm close to the end, Sam. Sam, come close. I hope you at the motion picture home.
You know what?
We've got to be one of these people.
We've got to get
pranks.
like a fade device so that when Andy goes off.
So let me tell you something about this.
Out like a slow fade.
Yeah, but you guys don't realize is that the hardball show really was. I love you.
Andy Kindler. Folks can find him at andykindler.com, but also Thought Spiral and on Cameo. Buy your Cameo from Andy Kindler now. It's a deal.
Bye,
undercutting the market.
I wish I could go long on Andy Kindler on Cameo right now. I'd make a fortune.
I've done a Cameo for Sam Seder.
No, but I'm saying going long on it, I buy it at 35 now and then I resell it for like $60 in like 6 months.
Hopefully I will die soon and that could be good. I'm joking, Andy, people. Be safe out there.
All right, Andy. Thank you so much. See you, buddy. Folks, guess what? Freebie Friday. Let's do this Joe Rogan stuff. Well, actually, let's start with Glenn Greenwald. who thinks that Joe Rogan is the like a real journalist out there. We'll start with this. This was just funny. Apparently, let's show the Eric yeah, okay. So here's a tweet by this guy, Eric Michael Garcia, who I guess is a freelance journalist. I don't know who he's covering Capitol Hill for these days. And he writes, why don't we see the top of his tweet? There you go. Okay. And he writes, here's something you don't see every day. The Reverend Jesse Jackson talking with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Jesse is there because his son Jonathan is being sworn in as a member of the Congress. AOC passed by and I said, there's something you don't see every day. Now, you don't see every day like a sort of firebrand or, former firebrand leftist being greeted nicely by a mouth-breathing, conservative flamethrower. I mean, just to remind everybody who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Now, let's see. Jesse Jackson was ran in a couple of presidential elections, 84, 88, if I remember correctly. Maybe even 92.
Maybe 88, 92, I'm not sure. Yeah.
And Bernie Sanders supported him, and he came very close. I think it was in 88, if I remember correctly.
Kind of a precursor to Bernie in some ways.
Oh, yeah. Well, not as left as Bernie.
Yes.
But really, in many respects, like a precursor to AOC.
Okay, yeah.
Because he had, what was called the Rainbow Coalition. At that time, like the idea that he would welcome in, like that the coalition was built on like gay people and white people and black people and brown people and representing like, it was a really like sort of explicitly intersectional campaign that also had very progressive leftist politics and very pro-labor.
There's a very interesting Bernie Sanders press conference from the time about why he got his party in Vermont to endorse Jesse Jackson. That's informative.
But I would say like, and it's hard to sort of like, but, to peg who he's a model for, but certainly a model for Bernie Sanders' campaign and certainly a model for people like AOC. Remains to be seen if she will, become a national figure in the way that he did. But let's remind everybody what Marjorie Taylor Greene did. What was it, 4 years ago? 3 years ago? This is her in the Capitol. This is just before, when was this? February 2019. So this 3 years ago, almost to the day. 4 years ago, almost to the day. This is where Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was not a congressperson at this time yet. This is just a year before she was elected to Congress.
Because if you'll recall, her first action as a congressperson was to vote against the election results.
Yes, okay, right. And here she is. This is what she was doing just 4 years ago in those same halls.
Of course not. No. We are peaceful.
Peacefully.
We are peaceful. We love you guys. We love you guys. Thank you for your service. Yeah.
This is her plaque. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We're at her office, and we are going to be. Yes, it is daycare. It is daycare.
That's what I said.
Somebody says it's daycare. Yep, it is. I'm going to show you guys. That's why there's little notes all over the place because it's like the college sorority where you leave little
Sticky notes.
Sticky notes to make it.
That's
feel
why
better.
she's so.
Yes.
This is like she's straight out of high school.
College sorority. So we're all
because
gonna,
they didn't have any cubby holes.
We're gonna leave her notes about. We're gonna sign the visitor's book. We're all gonna sign the visitor's book, and.
She's on a post-it. All right, I guess I just take this one.
We're going to ask her if Common Core math helped get her through college. And Trump.
Add socialism sucks.
No. Add this to it.
Trump, baby.
It's funny to call it college and then behave like this.
Yeah, exactly. It was just reminding of college, but we're going to bring a little junior high to
This is like in the dorms when you would write on people's whiteboard.
Yeah, wait, now go forward a little bit because I want. I want the part where then, it's not only she doing this, but here, go ahead.
We're heading in. We're going to go pay a visit. Oh, absolutely. The law in New York City.
Is it locked?
They locked the door. Wait, what? Excuse me, I'm an American citizen. I pay taxes. I'd like to speak to.
They locked the door.
Speak to someone in Congress.
Hello? Hang on.
Oh my gosh.
Hello, Acacia. Staff members for Acacia, we'd like to, we are your employers. We are here to
There's lights on in there.
inspect the office. Could we please come in? I thought locks were immoral. I thought locks were for bigots.
Yeah.
Wait.
Walls were immoral.
This is immoral.
This is immoral.
I'm so offended. I'm offended. I feel like.
Hashtag, where's AOC?
AOC?
They have blocked us out.
Everybody trend this. Hashtag
where's AOC?
Where's AOC?
We want Acacia to continue
Acacia.
doing everything that she's doing.
Oh my gosh.
She's doing an amazing job.
Yes, keep it up.
Just keep it up.
Yes.
Just keep talking. Socialism is amazing. Killing 25,000 jobs at Amazon was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what a wonderful thing you did there.
Just keep up the great work, Acacia.
All right. Well, I think we get it, right? So, and it gets worse for Marjorie Taylor Greene there. The point being, this reporter put the tweet back up. The reporter was like, this is something you don't see every day.
Notable.
Literally, he writes, here's something you don't see every day. Marjorie Taylor Greene actually being somewhat polite, and also, shaking the hands of a sort of firebrand leftist.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's kind of notable about this whole recent MTG thing is she's not on the side of Boebert and she's pro McCarthy, and she's doing like the
I'm the responsible
stuff.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what's notable.
Exactly. And then for some reason, I don't know what Eric Michael Garcia did to Glenn Greenwald, but
do actual journalism.
Yeah, here's Glenn Greenwald. This is how he responds to this. It's bizarre. Here, put up the whole tweet. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. Read this thread full of liberals led by MSNBC's Eric Garcia. Apparently Garcia does not work for MSNBC, but that, Glenn's busy. Expressing shock and confusion that Marjorie Taylor Greene politely welcomed an elderly black man who is a major historical figure, Jesse Jackson, instead of setting him on fire with a burning cross. I don't feel like that's what here's something you don't see every day really communicates. There's something going on here with Greenwald. Now put up the whole thread, because now listen, sometimes you reach for a bottle and it says take 5 milligrams and you see it's take 5 grams of something. That happens to people. But then he goes, this thread is full of all sorts of sinister conspiracy theories as to what Marjorie Taylor Greene was doing. How she'll soon be forced to apologize to placate her Nazi followers, enraged that she did this. Just a reminder, she built her career on going to rallies with Nick Fuentes. Put up that clip, that picture, that image I sent. This is what was a concern, supposedly, of her fellow Republican lawmakers just 24 months ago. House Republican leaders condemned a Republican candidate who made racist videos. Marjorie Taylor Greene suggested Muslims do not belong in government and thinks black people, quote, are held slaves to the Democratic Party. So it's not like Marjorie Taylor Greene is someone you would expect to be civil to anybody. Never mind Jesse Jackson. But Glenn has really gone on a theme here. Their heads are filled with the most hateful caricatures of anyone unlike them. A total cult, he says.
And I would just say, I think her Nazi followers like Nick Fuentes, well, first of all, they're kind of turned on her, but she did have them.
Fuentes just turned on her. And Ali, what's his face
Alexander,
from...
yeah. But the ones that will stay understand that, you do stuff like this.
Exactly. Exactly. And then, I don't know if he felt like he wasn't getting enough attention for his tweets. He linked to Joe Rogan relatedly, here's Joe Rogan on how the media labels anyone who deviates from any part of left liberal orthodoxy. Like, what is he talking about? This is sort of like a meltdown situation. And Rogan, Glenn Greenwald is now going on saying that Joe Rogan is the most credible news source out there or something?
Yeah. How the media labels anyone who deviates from any, even though endorsed by Bernie Sanders. Like, who is endorsed by Bernie Sanders?
No. Rogan endorsed
Bernie Sanders. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that endorsement was, a bit sus.
It's really hilarious, but that's just sort of like a interesting thing to just check on and see what Glenn's up to.
So many
days.
grifters from, I guess, Rogan now to Brett Weinstein to Tulsi Gabbard, making a lot of hay off of the fact that they said a nice thing about the clearly best candidate for the people in an election previously.
Right. That's right. I endorsed Bernie Sanders.
And then you said that you don't support universal basic income because people need to be coerced back to work for your small business owner friends.
Right. Exactly. I endorse Bernie Sanders, but none of his policies.
Like, you had to because it would look bad, and for marketing, if you endorsed Mitt Romney or whoever, like whatever Republican back in 2016.
Meanwhile, the guy that Glenn Greenwald thinks is such an extraordinary journalist. Let's get a good look at what kind of journalism Joe Rogan does. I don't know, which one should we start with? I mean, let's do
Weinstein.
Let's do Weinstein and Rogan. Like, this is
Brett making his comeback to Joe Rogan previously said that ivermectin is something like 100% effective as a prophylactic against COVID. So he's back to spread more bullshit.
Yep. And here is Rogan going deep, doing some deep dive reporting.
Let's put this up. This woman tweeted, "I will never regret the vaccine, even if it turns out I injected actual poison and have only days to live. My heart was in the right place. I got vaccinated out of love, while anti-vaxxers did everything out of hate. If I have to die because of my love for the world, then so be it. But I will never regret or apologize for it." It's a fascinating perspective. And it's also a fascinating perspective that this person claims to be about love, but has the most uncharitable view of people who didn't get vaccinated.
All right, and pause it for 1 second. Let me just say this. Like, I don't know that we have ever in the history of this program, we've done 12 years worth of shows, about 3 hours a day, 2.5 hours a day, ever tried to build an argument on one random person's tweet. Like, we'll talk about like Glenn Greenwald's tweets because he's got 2 million followers and he, is a big intellectual libertarian, voice who is, supported by Thiel money and has come out and endorsed a bunch of right-wing candidates over the year, the past. And that's why he's an important figure in that respect. Rogan has a huge audience, but the idea of taking a random tweet, it's not like this person's a lawmaker. This is just a person who's expressing an opinion. But even that is like, that bar in and of itself is a low bar. But let's continue on with this. Let's see what his theory is about this.
Everyone got anti-vax out of hate. The idea that I didn't get vaccinated out of hate, I find so ridiculous. Like, I don't hate anyone. I am a loving person. I do it on purpose. I go out of my way to be as charitable and as kind as possible. And when I don't, I feel very disappointed in myself. If I make any decision or a statement that I feel like doesn't align with that, maybe flippantly in the moment, maybe joking around, I'm very disappointed in myself. I'm very self-critical. When I see something like that, I'm like, that is ideological capture at its highest level. Because put that back up again. So what you're seeing, one of the things that she's realizing here is that there is a narrative. And one of the narratives is the vaccine might be bad for you. So she's saying, even if it turns out I injected actual poison, the idea that you wouldn't be upset that you were duped into injecting actual poison when you were thinking that this was somehow going to save people and save the world is so insane that wouldn't bother you. But you are uncharitably categorizing all people who are hesitant in getting an experimental medical intervention that's never been tried on mass amounts of human beings in human history, and that there's no long-term data to suggest anything. Safety, dangers, risk.
Pause it for a second. I just say, like, the way that he's characterizing the vaccine in this point is descriptive of, like, a huge swath of our medicines. Like,
these are the guys who are like
serotonin uptake inhibitors. Like, we don't have, for some of like Prozac, we have 50 years of data, but we don't have 50 years of data for Wellbutrin. We don't have 50 years of data for, I don't know, Lexapro.
You can get right wingers that will literally argue that the reason medicine is so expensive in this country is because we don't let doctors just go off and experiment.
Well, yes, exactly. I mean, that's the other thing is that, like, we got too much regulation that inhibits things. The safety of mRNA vaccines has been established or mRNA technology has been established for at least a decade. They've been using this in the context of like cancer research and whatnot. The efficacy of the vaccine, I think it waxes and wanes depending on the variants and whatnot. I mean, that's one thing to say. But so even in the context of him building this narrative around what this woman is saying, I would be unhappy if I put poison in I found out that I put poison in there.
Yeah.
But I think the point of the tweet on some level, and it's sort of weirdly written and it's a little bit batty. It's a little bit batty that someone doesn't care that they got poison. But the first part of it, at least, like the idea that, like, I got this because there's a public health crisis.
Yeah.
And this is what the people who are attempting to solve this public health crisis have recommended, are asking people to do. And that sentiment, I think, is a good one. The idea that you'd be okay with poison, that seems crazy to me, a little bit, to be honest with you.
I also don't think doctors that are studying this are okay and trying to hide that this was actually poison, which is another kind of premise of this whole conversation, that these guys saying, like, these doctors are motivated to ignore the truth or something like that. That's, I mean, it shouldn't need to be said, but that's insanely conspiratorial thinking.
Yeah, particularly this broad of a swath of people. Like, this is not, but let's continue here, because he's trying to build this whole narrative off of one random person's tweet.
Risks. And also, if she's a doctor, a medical doctor, she should know about the VAERS system. And she should know that although there are people that report things that turn out to not be correct, there's a very low number of vaccine injuries that get reported in respect to the actual number of vaccine injuries that take place.
Pause it.
And
first of all, he doesn't know that. There's no way for him to know that. In fact, the VAERS system, it's a self-reporting system. It is literally like a tip line.
Mm-hmm.
It is like a tip line for, like, I don't know, like the FBI. And they wade through thousands of tips.
And imagine if a tip line all of a sudden became insanely famous.
And also there was a political ideology around it. But he doesn't know that only a certain percentage of vaccine accidents he doesn't know that. He's just regurgitating anti-vax propaganda.
Yep.
But he's using this doctor's tweet, this rando doctor's tweet, to build this, like, whole thing. Like, how long is this video?
It's 11 minutes.
So 11 minute, we don't need to go through the entire 11 minutes. Just jump ahead a couple of minutes. Let's just see where he is in a couple of minutes. All right, now we're at minute 5 of this 11-minute video.
Just to say, like, they had to pull this off Spotify, and Brett Weinstein's like, we couldn't extract the part that was erroneous without severely
wait. We're not even there yet. Let's go. 5 minutes into this.
The vaccine that proved that it was safe and effective, you realize, well, hey, that wasn't good either. That data was not good. Not only was that data not good, but it's probably manipulated in a way that would encourage people to think that this is safer than it actually is and more effective than it actually is.
Okay, pause it. So now, in minute 5, after looking at this doctor's tweet, he is now talking about how the data on the safety of this vaccine have been manipulated. I guess presumably by like the powers that be.
You know, them there.
Things that haven't been proven, like when all of the media was saying that it will stop the infections from happening. You will never get COVID if you take these vaccines.
Pause it for 1 second. Now, let's be clear. There was definitely people in the media who said the vaccine is going to protect you from being infected. And in fact, the efficacy of the vaccine with the wild type variant was very high. It's also, we hear this every year. Get the flu vaccine. It will keep you from getting infected by the flu. And in fact, the efficacy of the flu vaccine on any given year is, I don't think it ever tops like 70%.
Yeah, 30 to 50.
Yeah,
is
it 30 to
50? That's what I've heard.
I mean, it may be less, but you do it to limit the spread of the vaccine, even though it's not 100%. They're going to put out a Lyme vaccine that's going to be like 65% effective. And you know what? You take it.
Yeah, and if it's 50%, that's 50% less spread.
Spread in the context of a pandemic. And so, yes, it's not 100%. Just like no single medical procedure or medicine in the world is remotely close to 100%. But we're going to all of a sudden get skeptical of this one narrow thing here. And then, of course...
And anybody paying attention knew that it wasn't 100%, because the Yankees...
Well, you knew it wasn't 100%. Right. And then the virus mutates. And then then it's a race again to develop a new vaccine. And there is a substantial evidence of the efficacy of the bivalent vaccine in inhibiting the spread of this vaccine, although basically society has decided we're not going to really pay attention anymore. We're not going to keep enough data. So go ahead another 2 or 3 minutes, because he's gone on 11 minutes of basically soft anti-vax justification here based upon this tweet. Go ahead. 7:20 we're at now.
Said that we're doing the dirty work of these corporations that had either willingly or unwillingly or unwittingly, I should say wittingly or knowingly or unknowingly, promoted this untruth.
I think this is one of the big questions about, irrespective of the epidemiological issues that are still in play, how we should deal with each other in the aftermath of what we've just been through is vital. And, you see in that tweet, she's obviously struggling with something.
Yes.
Right? You can sort of see her mindset.
Yeah.
She's going back through it and she's like, well, I did everything right.
Right. She did it out of love.
I was entirely
motivated.
And I
believe her.
By being a good person. I believe her too. And then she sticks the knife in. And she says, in order for that to be true, if everything I did was motivated by the goodness, then everybody who didn't do it must have been motivated by badness, which is illogical and very ungenerous.
Yeah, very ungenerous, uncharitable, and it's...
All right, pause it. Let's keep going. They're really building a whole, now it's a theory about what's happening with all the people.
We're really getting into their minds.
We're really getting into their minds here, really analyzing this. This doctor who tweeted this. Go up to 10.5 so we can wrap this up here.
majority of people who has not gotten their bivalent booster, and you're not getting it because there's something nagging at you, because you're now vaccine hesitant, right? And the answer is own up to it. You don't get to keep pretending that you were right to demonize us.
No.
You have switched sides. You've done so on the basis that the evidence has persuaded you that something is not right. And the answer is, look, you're not going to get punished by us if you come out now and you say, actually, I had it wrong. But don't you dare keep coming after us and then hide this fact that you've become hesitant and you don't know how to file that in your own mind. So that's kind of where I draw the line. If we have to get along with each other. We have to figure out how to do that again. And most people didn't do anything wrong.
I'm not drawing that line. And the reason why I'm not drawing that line is because I feel like we have to be charitable and forgiving. And this is the only way we come to unity after
So this is impressive because at the end of this whole, evaluation of this tweet, which presumably represents a whole massive cohort of people who've come to realize they were wrong about the vaccine. And this is a doctor of all people. And this 11-minute segment of all of the things that and by all means, like if you're worried about the intentions of these pharmaceutical companies, I'll be the first person to say, we should have taken that. We paid the money. It's the government's. They get no more money off of this. That's it. We funded the research. You get paid. You get your 10% profit. We'll take that product now. That's ours. I am definitely in favor of expropriating all of the stuff that the U.S. government has funded over the years. Join me in that. And when I say join me, I'm talking to these actual two real people. I'm using their actual real opinions that get broadcast to millions of people as the basis of my analysis and commentary. Whereas Rogan, a couple of days later, I was informed last night that this tweet is fake. The show was already out. We initially decided to post a notice saying we got tricked, then later thought it best to just delete it from the episode. My sincere apologies to everyone, especially the people who got hoaxed, the person who got hoaxed. Look, here is the bottom line. This enterprise, the Joe Rogan show, makes millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. $100 million he got paid. The idea that they don't dedicate, I don't know, $120,000 a year to someone who can do like, hey, you know what? If you're going to base a segment on this, if it's like somebody who's got an opinion about MMA fighting, okay. But if you're going to go out and claim that a doctor has tweeted this because you've seen the tweet, what wasn't even, it was like and I guess Frizzle McDizzle repeated it or something or whatever it is.
Because Rogan quote tweeted that he was saying Joe Rogan reacts to a doctor's insane tweet.
Yeah. If you're going to use that as the basis of making these broad claims about the health policy of an entire nation, don't you have some obligation to fact check it beforehand? I mean, this is a big deal. It's not like
a drunk pilot.
It's not like last week when he went on to talk about how horrific this video was. Watch this. This is somebody's cut in the video that he's looking at.
This is, yeah.
Now, this instance is not as important. It really isn't. It's funny. Here's Joe Rogan. This is from, I guess, early December.
I saw a video today of a boxing match between a father and a son.
Pause it for a second. I should make it clear that someone produced this. Yeah. They clipped in the images of the boxing fight and put in the music.
Sad. Made me so sad. Because there's this young kid. He looks like he's probably like 17 or 18. And the father's 42. And the father beats the shit out of him. I mean, like, dings him in the head and keeps punching him. I'm like, that's your son. That's your son. and we're watching you beat your son up, because I get your son probably got cocky with you, and he celebrates after he knocks his son out. It made me so sad. Because first of all, I'm like, that kid has brain damage now, 100%. Maybe it's just a little. Maybe he'll be fine. Maybe he'll get over it. But maybe you fucked him up. That can happen too. He might be depressed from now on after that. It might fuck up his pituitary gland. It happens to people. And you just did that to your son. You're supposed to like touch him up. You're supposed to not even hurt him. Like slam him in the body a little bit. Like, you think he can fight? Okay, good dude. Okay, let's have a little boxing match. You don't tee off on your son's face on television. It's crazy.
How old was the kid?
Kid looks young. To me, he looks like, he could be 20. He could be 19. He looks young. He's real skinny. And the father's kind of jacked. Not too jacked, but, he's fit. And he could fucking punch. He knows how to box. And the son doesn't look like he has any idea what the fuck he's doing. I don't know what the thing was. Like, someone sent it to me, and they were like cheering that this old guy knocked his son out. I was like, you guys are crazy. That you failed. You failed as a man. Yeah, this is it.
That's not exactly what was happening.
It's not? What is it?
They're not father-son.
Oh, why does it lie?
Because
it says father knocks out son in celebrity boxing match.
Gotta get somebody to click on this.
Oh.
This was like a YouTuber thing. This guy's a YouTuber, and he's a YouTuber.
I'm such a sucker.
I mean, so it's not like you didn't have warning that you're a little bit of a sucker, and maybe at one point you can dedicate some of the $100 million you got to someone to check the factual basis.
You don't get duped by a clickbait headline.
Yeah, like,
for a
I mean, look,
boxing match.
like that, like the boxing thing is just funny.
Right.
And
It's not
but,
harmful.
But when you spend 10 minutes on a fake tweet to make an entire argument to justify anti-vax sentiment, and like some notion of how like this is evidence that even the people who took the vax understand that they got duped, or the reason why they took the vax is because they were so ideologically wedded to the idea of a vaccine. Dedicate some of your money, if you are genuinely as like well-intentioned as you seem to think you are, dedicate some of your money to fact checking. I can tell you, the annual revenue here does not equal what the daily revenue is on that guy's program. And we, within the limits of those resources, we try to make sure that we know what we're doing is factual, and we will not do it if we have any type of question. Do we make mistakes? Yes. But the more serious the topic, the more our bar is to even like address it. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Do you want to see another point in the Brett Joe interview where they talk about how they're immune to bullshit because they talk to all the best experts?
Oh my God.
I could have been one of them if I wasn't doing this fucking podcast, okay? If I was just a regular comedian and that's what I did for a living, and I didn't pay much attention to alternative media and podcasts that were discussing this, and people like Peter McCullough or Robert Malone or all these people that were sounding the alarm, if I was one of those people that didn't have the access to these kind of conversations, I would not have a nuanced perspective. And if I had gotten vaccinated and other people didn't, I would be like, fuck those people. I would be just like people I know who I used to be friends with, who now hate me and are angry at me and talk shit about me online. And I forgive them because I would have been
You know what's amazing about this is all the shit that Rogan said when he was apologizing for putting out misinformation. I'm just a comedian. Anybody who listens to me is, like, it's a mistake. They're an idiot if they listen. I mean, he said that, well, I don't know. Was it a year ago? Was it 6 months ago?
Yeah, when all the Spotify stuff happened.
And here he is understanding the power that is associated with the medium he is in. This guy, Malone, would be a completely outlier who would not exist in any peer-reviewed journals or anywhere like that, but for the medium that Joe Rogan has, and in fact, the platform that Joe Rogan provided. So he, on one hand, knows what power he has to shape the minds of people, but at the same time refuses to accept the responsibility there. And at one point, he's going to make the connection. If I refuse to take this responsibility, maybe the people who are coming on saying this stuff are also refusing to take the responsibility. I mean, maybe 2 + 2 will register in his head at one point. But at the end of the day, Joe Rogan could do what he wants to do. It's Spotify. Because they're the ones making money off of this. They're the corporation that are basically making their profits. They are privatizing the profits, and they are socializing the costs. Because the costs get spread out. That misinformation costs society. And it's really Spotify who should be held to account. They're publishing this stuff. They're the ones who are putting it out.
They signed the paycheck.
They're the ones who signed the paycheck. And so it is up to them to make sure that their employee is disseminating information that is at least, on topics of a certain import, true or researched or, it won't happen, but that's what should happen. All right. We went over.
Yeah. And just as a bookend, McCarthy lost the 13th vote. But it got another dissenter, Andy Harris. Andy Harris is over onto McCarthy's side.
So what was the final tally?
I have to check because they changed it. This final round was just between McCarthy and Jeffries. They were the only two people nominated. As opposed to, for example, Boebert had nominated Kevin Hearn. There were only two were nominated. There wasn't another.
That's not possible. They have to vote for somebody.
Yeah, I'm saying. So, for example, Boebert and a few other Boebert, Crane. I'll just get the final tally. Voted for Jim Jordan, but he wasn't an official nominee as well.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then, but it does look like, according to Jake Sherman from Punch Bowl, that Wesley Hunt, that congressman from Texas who wanted to see his kid, and Ken Buck, who was feeling sick, they're going to come back tonight to try and seal the deal. They were two of the absences from today.
Oh, I see. So McCarthy still is like, what did he get?
He's probably 2 or 3 away based on now having 14.
Oh, wait. So vote number 13 is not over yet. So we don't know the final.
No, not vote number 13 is not over yet. He does not already have the votes for it to not go to a 14th round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we will get the final tally in a minute. We'll read some IMs and then we'll get out of here. Valshell, no Binder yesterday, no Emma until May. What's going on over there? Colin from Maryland. My 2 favorite guests today. Let's go. Lord Paintship, really frustrating how FTV morons don't seem to understand the difference between the Freedom Caucus situation and the Justice Dems. At the end of the day, Republicans will always... They're
declaring victory like Brett Weinstein and the anti-vaxxers do. It's completely for marketing purposes.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a pathetic joke. Honestly, were it not for the fact that we get IMs about it, wouldn't even talk about it at this point. I mean, it's a joke because and largely the reason why I wouldn't even talk about it is because, and I can pick up on it based upon how much it's in my Twitter feed these days. I mean, granted, I've muted a couple of some of the players in this long time ago, but
shadow banned them.
I've shadow banned them. But the fact is that most of these people have audiences that are different from ours now. And it is, most of these people have right-wing leaning audiences. It's just the case. I'm not saying that they're necessarily right-wing. I don't know. Maybe that's just a coincidence. But that's just the case. And it is of less like import in terms of like a, you know, on a project level. It's not even as annoying because I just don't get as many tweets.
No.
But when we get an IM, I'm going to address it. I'm not going to walk away from it. Yeah, I mean, if we get a second IM, I will ignore it. You don't have to vote for someone who was nominated, said Vermont Ben. Thank you, Sam's tight pants regarding the speaker vote yesterday. Thought it was amazing when French Hill of Arkansas. Oh, yeah, okay, we did that already. But to argue that Congress eventually worked it out and then Republicans passed strong pro-growth economic policy with President Coolidge. I guess they weren't in history class when they taught about the rabid inequality, the roaring 20s, in their watch and eventually leading to the Great Depression. Regular Shoe Mike. There's a big debate right now in the artist community over the ethical use of artificial intelligence art. A guest suggestion would be Carla Ortiz. Will you write that down? It'd be good to do. She's a well-known artist, done work for Marvel and other brands. She's been an outspoken opponent of AI art, at least how it now with no protections for artists whose bodies of work were scraped by these algorithms. Carla K with a K, Ortiz. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like this artificial intelligence needed some basis. And it's one thing to look at the art of someone else. But it's another to use it as a template.
And we kind of said that we kind of had this similar conversation with like NFTs and stuff being in the sense of it was almost making if people were going to use NFT as like an artistic template, it's just uniformity over any sort of actual or like individual creativity for like creative production. It's like, oh, it's 600 different bored apes that look the same but just have like different hats.
Well, I think you get genuinely interesting results from AI, but it is based on the data sets, which is man-made, like that they're pulling from.
Yes, it's unpaid labor that they're grabbing.
And I like this is the thing, like I think what needs to be done on this is not just simply like banning AI. I think like the problem is you need to make it the way to support artists from technology is the same as like journalists and stuff. We need to decommodify the life essentials so people can pursue this stuff. And then I think because I don't think like property rights is the solution, even if it's like small creators against a giant AI. I don't like the sort of rights. I'm a free culture guy.
Let's talk to let's get a guest on it because this is a good conversation. Like I don't even know how you would enforce those rights and whether it would be even worth it, frankly.
I mean, maybe you could force the AI to spit out everything that it pulled from like a bibliography or something. Oh
yeah,
like that.
You probably could do that.
Yeah.
But and then you do some type of residual like thing. Mm-hmm. Stephen Miller, Matt Schlapp, at least 1% gay. The bestest leftists. I think the Republicans holding out are showing the power of a few. Even though I despise everything they stand for, they're getting all the concessions they want. The mainstream media is the corporate media, and they are trying to make them look foolish, but they work for the same people funding the campaigns of the rest of Congress. This is what most lefties were wanting with Force the Vote before Dorhive took over and used it as a tool to lash out at progressives. Even though we would have gotten concessions, this also proves the type of media coverage they would have gotten for Medicare for All by the same corporate media. Well, here's the point. Let's measure the amount of, let's assume that they win, which they may not. We still don't know if they're going to get all their concessions, but let's assume that they do. Let's measure the amount of attention the vote on term limits gets. And if it creates a huge uproar amongst America, my guess is it won't. Aside from the dynamics being completely different. Right now, what is it preventing Congress from doing? Nothing. Nothing. And we said over time, McCarthy's unpopular amongst the Republican Party. Totally different dynamic if you have 5 freshman members of the House pull the same thing against a wildly popular Nancy Pelosi in the Democratic Party, like it or not. And with the clock ticking as to like, wait, when are you going to do the $1,400 checks or the $2,000 checks? When are we going to provide the extended unemployment? It's a $2.3 trillion bill that you're holding up for a vote on something that is going to lose, is going to lose 300 to 100. And you think that's going to rally the country to force what? To force another vote? Like what was supposed to happen at that point? Which is exactly what I think AOC said in response to it. What's step 2? Left of the box. Fun half title is stuck in yesterday. Also, that shirt looks good on you. Thank you. Wade 3690. Finally watched Andor. Good. What did you like? Well, I haven't finished the whole thing. Toma Flink. Happy Casual Friday, folks. Prince Harry has released his memoir and described some of the claims as explosive is an understatement. In other news, if anyone in the market, if some shitty reality TV, The Apprentice is on the BBC again. It'll probably be on BBC America at some point. It's hosted by a dude called Lord Sugar. And yes, people who get on there have to call him that. Oy, jeez. Sam's hanging Chad. I'm so glad metal detectors have been removed from Congress because, Lauren Boebert will be the first to bring her gun to the House floor. And you absolutely know Lauren Boebert will be the first member of the House to accidentally shoot herself in the leg. Put this down for a 2023 prediction. 6-foot bear. 2 old men remembering for the 10th time when they met is peak boomer energy. That's a response to Kindler and I. New Wrangler. Sam is always spot on with the car analogies. Antifa Lockhart. Breaking, heartbreaking news. Friendship with Donald Trump ended. Matt Gaetz has defected to vote for Jim Jordan. A Square. Happy New Year, MR. Thanks for Digby and Andy today. Sam was hoping you found and showed that promo for the GOP Young Guns. Only one left. Or better, Bonaire whistling as he exited stage left. Your Digby convo reminded me of that phrase Republican talking heads used. Message discipline. Limbaugh would have been calling out the 20 insurrectionists and this new circus act would have ended. I think Speaker is going to be Scalise in the end. Hope Dems don't cave and help the GOP resolve this mess. Do you agree? I feel like it's going to be Scalise, although it's starting to look like it's going to be they'll get to McCarthy somehow. Dave from Jamaica. Andor fixes all the problem with Star Wars. It takes out Jedi and has a good story. Russian Revolution, but in space. Yeah, indeed. It really is good. This guy Fox. A milligram of liquid weighs a gram. All right. Fair enough. Jay Tingle. Great Kindler segment. Right now I'm in awe of Joe Rogan's noblesse oblige. Iowa Ryan. My co-worker talked to his father, who has 2 transplanted kidneys, to not get the vaccine. Joe Rogan is to blame and is dangerous. Jibber Jabberer. Already looking forward to Andy's 3rd annual retelling of the CPAP joke. Unironically, I love it. We don't have 50 years of data on the steroids Joe Rogan takes either. V. I can't believe Keith Apicary is Matt Watson's dad. I'm such a sucker. I don't know. I can't follow that. Al dente. I believe the sedition clause actually numbers closer to somewhere around 108. Am I right? And let's see. 3 more. Worcester Ice Cats. Does Boebert's participation in all this make her more or less vulnerable next cycle? It's a good question. Catfish James. I enjoy the fact that after something like this, Idol proved to be fake. Joe, Brett, and their sycophants simply say, even though this is fake, my point is still good.
Yeah, the form of what I said was accurate, even if the content wasn't.
Right. And it would be true. If this was true, what I said would be valid. Final I Am of the week. Devoid reality. Forget that, Andy. For someone from the Boston area, Worcester, in comedy doesn't know Bob and Ray from Boston. Sam, was Bob's Burgers that traumatic? All right. Bradley, Matt, great job today. This week, in fact. Folks, we'll see you on Monday.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth